Hey, what is up, guys? All right, so I just have to really start out with this because this was just more than hilarious. You guys have to. It just has to be replayed as many times as possible.
Contrast. Russian elections are rigged. Political opponents are imprisoned or otherwise eliminated from participating in the electoral process. The result is an absence of checks and balances in Russia and the decision of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine. Iraq, too. Anyway, 75.
Hilarious, right?
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel.
I have to get rid of that. And also wanted to play this clip. It was just on. I was just watching Stephen Cambion's show on Truth Seekers, and he played this interview. This was really great.
Dominated by CIA.
So a few people have been right on about this all along, and these guys were some of them. This story is totally being dismantled as we speak. Key stuff here. Feel free to join the stream.
Hi, this is Dark Journalist. Today I have a special show for you on the CIA takeover of the UFO file narrative. Yes. Our special guest is John Greenwald from the Black Vault. Now, John's been tracking the statements put on the public record by the To the Stars the past 2 decades. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
This is my first big release. I mean, this is very, very cool. It was highlighted in a big UK book, a book exposition that they had over there, and Roman and Littlefield profiled. I think there was a total of 10 books out of the hundreds and hundreds that they have.
Right.
And mine was on all of their media and big graphics and stuff like that. And then even in their catalog, when they started listing books, I'm on the first page. So and again, the catalog is, 60 plus pages of book after books after book. And for them, again, to put that kind of backing and belief in it for this topic is huge.
Oh, yeah, we can definitely observe a sea change taking place there. Now, your site, theblackvault.com, is an excellent resource for documents and has actually been cited by major news organizations in connection with various UFO stories. They've also used it for things like MKUltra research docs to support these breaking stories as well.
Yeah, I mean, UFOs obviously has always been the most popular topic, but the Black Vault doesn't only deal with that. And in December of 2018, quite a bit of media publicity came about for documents that I got on MKUltra and the MKUltra experiments.
Well, it's amazing. This program, so well hidden by the CIA, which then Director Helms admitted to destroying the files on, was truly inhuman, with psychological torture and programming of individuals. It's one of the darkest chapters in American history, and the CIA continues to block access to that information now, right up to the present day.
That's MK
yeah,
Ultra.
it was quite a revelation for me, because it shows the lengths, even though I already knew this, but it shows the lengths that agencies like the CIA will go to cover everything up.
Yes.
And they will tell you things that are blatantly not true.
Well, with the CIA, that's exactly what we've seen repeatedly, this deceptive pattern. And that leads us into everything that's been going on around the UFO file, and in particular, the To the Stars Academy, or TTSA,
Yeah.
where the CIA actually is out front taking a lead role in this corporation, and former CIA people are literally at the top tier ranks of this organization. Now, you've done some breakthrough research here that's very revealing. You've created a detailed timeline of the AATIP program. That's the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, so touted by TTSA and run by one of its founders, senior counterintelligence agent Luis Elizondo.
Yeah.
Now, just a brief outline here. TTSA is something that Tom DeLonge, the former Blink-182 singer, founded along with Luis Elizondo, former intelligence officer, with the idea being that a bunch of CIA spooks and Lockheed Martin guys are going to make UFO disclosure easy as pie. And they have entertainment divisions for TV shows, and they raised over $2 million in a stock sale. And they came out with a major announcement introducing the corporation in October 2017.
That's correct. Yeah.
Now, initially, as I understand it, you were very enthusiastic and very open-minded about what they were claiming they were going to do.
Yeah.
But this AATIP program that Elizondo claimed to be in charge of, and which was revealed by an article in the New York Times on December 16th, 2017, many inconsistencies arose almost immediately about this AATIP program, with conflicting statements by the TTSA and their associates, to the point where now you've said that AATIP is, in terms of actual facts, only a rumored UFO program.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to give a quick background, you're absolutely right. I was
again, the sound. Here I go, muting it. So this there's a lot going on with To the Stars Academy being exposed, and the fact that Lou Elizondo and the TTSA company are continually being exposed more and more. We also have Stephen Greenstreet of the Basement Office doing some incredible work on Lou Elizondo, and he said he's got even more stuff coming out, really exposing this CIA op that is now covering up, the whole UFO narrative. And I want to explain a couple things and go back to this narrative and how it was all designed and intrigued. How it was all inceptualized. Sorry, not in. So anyways, this is very interesting. They show the same videos. I think there maybe is one new video, which is just as crappy. Most of these videos have been around and making the circles for the last 4 years on the internet. And they show the Jeremy Corbell video, the Navy video, and they debunk it right here. And then they use that whole threat that whole narrative. This Senator LaHood uses that whole narrative to basically say that we need rights and powers to go after UFO researchers and people who spread misinformation or disinformation. Like we need, as part of this Ministry of Truth, we should be granting the Ministry of Truth powers to go after, UFO people who say that, the government's lying or covering up anything, because we have no documents and we have no information. And they deflected. They were skilled at the art of deception because they worded everything so they couldn't be held accountable for actually lying. If you really look through it carefully, they didn't actually lie. So they just stated what they knew and what information that they were given, but that's not the whole truth. And this whole thing, then something key that happened with the Lou Elizondo counterintelligence op that I want to just point out. It was on Twitter, and I really should find it and play it, because that was another key part, and I didn't have this queued up, so I'm going to have to go find it now. But Lou Elizondo, oh yeah, it was on Megyn Kelly. No, it wasn't on Megyn Kelly. It was on another channel that he was on, and he was promoting the whole idea of this. He was promoting the whole mention of the Wilson leaks. So the Wilson documents, right? Big nothing burger. Wilson documents. This is a thing that was mentioned at the hearing, and the Wilson documents are not these, but they're a nothing burger, and that they were brought up as it's basically the cover story, the CIA's cover story for this. To send people down a rabbit hole that leads in the wrong direction to where the crash recovery stuff is. And what they should have done is, this is the first UFO hearing that's happened in Congress and on Capitol Hill since the 1950s. Look at think about this in context. There hasn't been a hearing on UFOs or the possibility of alien craft and visitation of alien craft since Project Blue Book. Why were there no real questions? He said he's heard of Project Blue Book, right? That's what Moultrie said. This guy right here, Ronald Moultrie, he's like, I've heard of Project Blue Book, and I've been to conventions, but I don't dress up. It's like, dude, why not? And what does it matter? Have you been to conventions? Have you what literature have you read on this? What YouTube channels do you follow? Do you read all John Greenwald's stuff? Oh yeah, the John Greenwald interview with Green Street is another good one. Green Street, dark journalist, and these guys are just nailing this to the hook. We're the Alien Scientist channel, so I really want to get into the science on all this and talk more about this stuff and the science involved, because that's what's missing from this whole thing. But it really focuses around this key issue. Crash recoveries. Ronald Moultrie says that he hasn't really he doesn't have the research into this. The Pinnacle Memorandum is what really should have been brought up, and the Pinnacle Memorandum is key, and it's a key piece of literature. It tells it's a 1953 secret memo found in the J. Allen Hynek files, and it should have been brought up. It should have been questioned at these congressional hearings, which were contrived and a scam from the beginning. It was run by CIA and Department of Homeland Security, and these were, contrived and set up. I bet you they weren't even allowed to ask these things or talk about them in public session. They were required to, save these for that classified session that happened afterwards. And if this stuff wasn't discussed in the classified, hearing afterwards, then I'd be very, very, very surprised, because I think that classified hearing afterwards should have included all of this stuff, and it should have included, that we're in, a Manhattan Project 2.0 to develop the next level generation of technology, and the same companies are involved. Because literally think about this. This is Battelle Memorial Institute, right? That it talks about in the Pinnacle Memorandum. It says that the director, Howard C. Cross of Battelle Memorial Institute, who was an expert metallurgist, by the way, that Battelle was hired to do all the metallurgy studies on all this, debris samples that were recovered and stuff. This is Battelle. Battelle Memorial Institute made the Demon Core for the Manhattan Project. Their entire company was built around Manhattan Project level secrecy and stovepiping and all this stuff. This is where all the UFO shit should have gone would have gone. It's the military industrial complex. It's a private institute, so it's not accessible by FOIA. They knew well about how to hide these secrets back during the Manhattan Project because they had to do it for secrecy. It was the most secret project that was ever done. And none of it was brought up or mentioned. Instead, they bring up, Richard Dolan's, look, it's these same players, Stephen. It's like it's like the same stuff that gets brought up is the same garbage that got promoted. And I'm beginning to wonder if like you mentioned that there are certain people out there that were friendly to these CIA assets, even willing.
Yeah, there were people who were willing to help them push their narrative, and that's something that is especially from alt media, that is a total failure.
How many subscribers do you get if you get Lou Elizondo on your show, like overnight?
In 1 month, Lou from UCR got 2,500. But I believe that was a month that he interviewed him twice in 1 month. I could be mistaken. I'm sure he interviewed him at least once that month, but you can look at his social blade and see this huge uptick of everybody that Lou Elizondo gave. Everybody that was a softballer that was given access, they get a huge uptick in subscribers.
Did you do any research into the Wilson documents? I mean, I kind of
yes, and it is complete and total garbage. And not only there is 2 separate Navy admirals. The first was Tom Wilson, that was the subject of the documents that Eric Davis allegedly had some meeting with. Also, the entire story starts with a fake document from Stephen Greer. There was a document, and the name of it escapes me at the moment. I'm not in my usual place. But there was a so-called declassified document that apparently Stephen Greer in a meeting showed to Admiral Tom Wilson. John from the Black Vault looked into that document and ripped it to shreds. It was completely and totally fake. But the story starts on Admiral Tom Wilson was given this document about crash retrievals and things like that, and Majestic and all that. But the document came from Dr. Stephen Greer, first of all. Second of all, John from the Black Vault and others have proven that document is 100% forged fake. But the story goes that Admiral Tom Wilson was given this document, and because of the document and his meeting with Stephen Greer and Edgar Mitchell, he went on this mission to go find the crash retrieval project. So, but the notion that a decorated Navy admiral would look at this completely and totally fake document and then go on a wild goose chase looking for aliens is completely and totally ridiculous. Secondarily, Admiral Tom Wilson said that those documents, those notes are a work of fiction. And Eric Davis himself, he won't confirm or deny that he wrote them because of his security clearance or some bullshit. Yeah. And there was another, Richard Dolan, who I'm not a big fan of. He made more money pushing these Wilson documents than any single individual in the research community or UFO community. He's done 6-hour videos trying to prove that these are real. And what you get if you do listen to the 12 or 18 hours of Richard Dolan and his Mr. X anonymous source, that's right, Richard Dolan's proof for the Wilson documents being real is a guy named Mr. X that nobody else is allowed to interview or talk to. And that guy goes on with Richard Dolan and, they speculate and they connect all these dots that aren't there. And, there's no significant proof that ever took place. And the fact that Richard Dolan essentially every time he goes trying to sell these documents talks about them at UFO conference. He's getting paid there. He's getting paid for behind the paywall videos about them. He's getting paid monetized YouTube videos about them. Every time that Richard Dolan tries to push these documents, essentially he's calling a decorated Navy admiral 2 things: an idiot for not knowing the difference between a completely and totally fake classified document, and a criminal, because it would have been illegal for Wilson to discuss classified projects with Davis, who wasn't cleared or read into those programs. So, and then there in this Richard Dolan explanation of the documents, there's another admiral that is mentioned. Is it like Hill Carter or something like that? The name escapes me. But there's another admiral that's mentioned that knew Admiral Tom Wilson, and he would have known all about this meeting. He, on a recent interview, said there are no crash retrievals. We don't have anything. So we've got two decorated Navy admirals. I'll take their word. And by the way, both of them are very old and retired. They don't really have a reason to lie or, you know.
Well, what about this? What about we have the documented evidence of a Denmark UFO that dropped this piece of metal that was recovered in, you know, these documents circa 1947. And, you know, there's other
No, I'm not saying that there are no crash retrievals. I'm saying, at least in the case of the Wilson documents,
metal that's been recovered. I don't know about
there's metal. Sure. I'm sure there's fragments. I'm sure there's artifacts, something that has been recovered from so-called UFOs.
There, you know. So
yeah, I'm sure that they have recovered things, but I think
Project Moondust was a whole
Project Moondust I'm aware of. But I think that people conflate when they hear the word crash retrieval, they think aliens right away, alien spacecraft. See,
satellite.
There is Foreign Technology Division of the military forces for a reason. During the space race, they would love to get their hands on a crashed Russian rocket or satellite or anything. So sometimes it was literally about grabbing foreign technology and analyzing it, human, terrestrial, adversarial technology. It wasn't always, that's what Moondust was largely supposed to be. If anything falls out of the sky from space, we want it. We want to grab it. We want to analyze it. It doesn't automatically mean it was aliens. People sort of conflate the two in my experience.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that it's aliens. And in fact, I think the majority of this stuff, it turns out, is our own technology, our own space programs.
Yeah.
You know,
and as far as Eric Davis, I just don't find the guy credible. I mean,
he's an interesting character, you know. So
he's been sucking, Jeremy. He's been sucking off the teat of government money for his entire life, and I think he likes people thinking that he knows more about this alien and flying saucers and crashes and aliens than other people. Like, he's special, but then when push comes to shove, he won't talk. Cites my NDA, you know, him and Putoff, both of them.
Yeah, well, they've been involved in a whole bunch of research. So he's Putoff's right hand man. They ran this company called Earth Tech.
I'm aware of them. Yeah.
You know, so earthtech.org, I think it was their website.
And Putoff just basically put his company into his children's care and name, and is apparently stepping away or something like that.
Advanced studies at Austin. And it's basically Eric Davis, who's riding the coattails of Hal Puthoff. And Hal Puthoff's got a really interesting background himself. If you look into Hal, he's written. I mean, both these guys have written some interesting scientific literature, though. And I encourage, the physicists out there to read The Polarizable Vacuum Approach to General Relativity that Harold Puthoff wrote. Interesting.
But you also have to remember that this is the same guy that was a high-ranking Scientologist, and he wasted millions of dollars studying psychic phenomenon, and he declared Uri Geller's superpowers were real. Uri Geller would later admit that he used really off-the-shelf magician's tricks to fool Hal Puthoff and the rest of that SRI team.
Yeah, so this SRI was Stanford Research Institute.
Which is slimy in and of itself, because they named it that so people would think it's credible. It has nothing to do with Stanford.
Yeah, it was
Stanford University, I mean.
But it was in California, but it wasn't actually near Stanford and wasn't associated with Stanford.
Yeah, but they got a lot of government funding to study a bunch of nonsense.
And it's interesting, the whole story of that. Have you read Spies by Jim Marrs?
Yes, and I've seen that movie. There's a documentary about all that psychic spies stuff too. I can't recall the name of that. Geez, I'm mind blanking tonight.
Yeah, The Men Who Stare at Goats, I think it was. There was a book. It was related to that because they did that psychological mind bullet research, so that where they tried to kill animals with enough psychic powers.
Yeah, it's bizarre. That movie's funny though. The Men Who Stare at Goats is pretty funny.
You know, and I'd like to reproduce some of these experiments myself as a scientist, get like a mass collective of people and get like one of those super sensitive quantum magnetometers and see if we can like push it one direction or the other, or maybe even just a buoyant balloon, if we can telekinetically, if there's any truth to
Well,
kinetic powers or any of this stuff.
I used to do magic shows. I could fake it for you, but I can't
totally
really do it,
really doing it, and then like everyone would want the oh well, there's got to be other factors involved and all this. Yeah, so it's hard because it's hard to test those kinds of things like psychic powers and stuff, but it's certainly interesting. And I know that there was a lot of Cold War research that was done, and a number of these CIA documents that go around, and I tell people like this is all, to convince the people that they have mind control and mind readers and all this kind of stuff. It's mind games, it's to get inside the opponent's head and the psychology.
Yeah, well, what the big reason that the United States government started doing research into psychics and remote viewing is because they heard the Russians had them.
Yes, apparently. Well, and that was from a false article that was published in a French newspaper or something.
Yep. But that was enough for us to waste millions of dollars. Well, if they got psychic spies, we have to develop our own psychic spies,
Yeah. Well, psychic spies from China trying to steal your mind's elation.
Yeah.
And but that's what this.
You know what? I should be pissed off at you. I thought I was done for the week, and then you're like, "Come on over to my show," and I'm like, "Okay."
Well, I need somebody to get here to torture for a little bit. No, but this is interesting. The Psi spies, and then Hal Puthoff was involved in that. Uri Geller stuff, promoting a lot of these ideas for the project. The remote viewing stuff, right? So they can convince
some of that stuff is extremely interesting. There was one guy who was studied, not Uri Geller, who was supposedly the most accurate remote viewer that anybody had ever seen. Right? Not Ingo Swann. It was the guy before they got Ingo Swann. I'm trying to look up that documentary because it's really good. It's got not Hal Puthoff, Russell Targ is in that documentary. I'm trying to see.
He's a wacko too, man. That guy.
Yeah, he was pretty. Third Eye Spies. That's what it's called. Third Eye Spies, and that is a very interesting documentary. It talks all about the remote viewing studies. Stanford, Hal Puthoff, Russell Targ. There's a cameo of Uri Geller at the end of it in more modern times. Third Eye Spies. You can watch it for free.
All right, I have something right in front of right on my desktop. I just put it right on my desktop. It's something real simple. It's right on my desktop now, and I want everyone to remote view right now what I'm looking at, what I'm staring at. I'm going to really focus really hard what I put on my desktop, and people are going to guess and post it.
I got it. I think I know.
Post it in live chat.
It's a big dildo.
No, it's not a big
Damn
dildo.
it, I'm not a psychic.
It's something I just had out on my my desk. I'm not going to give any hints because I don't want people to guess, but just guess randomly. Just focus. If remote viewing is that good, you should be able to really look.
I think what happened is I didn't see what was on your desk. I saw what's in all your drawers around you, and I saw dildos. That's what I saw, Jeremy. Big ones.
Well, that must be what you're seeing. Yes. Think about it.
By the way, I wanted to pop in here because you asked me, but I can't stay too long because I got to pack for tomorrow. I got all kinds of shit.
We'll test the remote viewing. I'm gonna get back to people. Just kind of you might have to take a while to tune in and focus. It's sitting right in front of me. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna put it right here in the middle, right there, and I'm gonna show it after. And it's just a small object. And I'll show it after. In about 10 minutes if you guys stick by. But yeah, let's talk about this. The Pinnacle Memorandum, I think, was the real key because there was this other Project Blue Book, and it involved the metallurgists and the people that got to study the materials.
And Battelle Institute, right?
And the public one was this public Project Blue Book, which was like a continuation of Project Grudge and Project Sign, which was an attempt to just swipe all this under the rug and make fun of it, where they basically used the Jeremy Corbell, the Gray Barker of the time, And you know,
What do you think about him doing that spin? Like he's proud that they mentioned him in that hearing, even though they said his shit is fake. That's
dude,
so spinny. He spun it. He's gonna keep spinning it. You know.
I hope people catch on to all these frauds, because you know that guy, you know, he's a joke. He made it he's only famous because he did the Bob Lazar documentary, which was really a film about Corbell. I mean, he was himself in his friggin' bare feet and his, you know, for half the video. And it started off with him in his bathroom and, you know, just texting George Knapp. And then, you know.
Yeah, there was a time when I wanted to make a parody of that where I would be Jeremy Corbell taking a shit, talking to George Knapp on the phone, you know?
Yes.
And some people may remember that before he made that documentary, people like you and me sent him substantial and supportive evidence that Bob Lazar was a fraud and a liar. And what did he do with all that information, Jeremy?
Dude, he comes back at me. He's still got another account, like a sock account, because he has me blocked, but he follows me on this sock account. And I posted about, you know, the other day with the hearings. I was like, you know, like you failed when they debunk your shit at a like congressional hearing and use it as an excuse for why they need legal powers to go after, you know, UFO researchers and spread, you know, self-serving disinformation. And you know, it's definitely like some sock account, I think, was his replying to me on
yeah, because nobody cares enough about
Nobody
Jeremy Corbell to defend him, except him. He does have sock accounts because he has hit my channel comments with a sock account. I'm sure of it. And the reason I'm sure of it is because
you guys are terrible. All right, I just have to tell you guys.
He went out of his way to defend Corbell and talk about what a great filmmaker Corbell is and what a great researcher he is. And I don't see any human on planet Earth caring enough about Corbell to defend him like that. So for sure, it was sock puppets.
A turtle, a bottle of beer. Everyone guessed the beer bottle. No, that's, you know, I got the beer bottle. I've been showing that. You don't have to remote view that to see that. But what I do have right here. Okay. You guys ready? Oh, what is it? What do I have? Did you remote view this? Who remote viewed that? Huh? You saw a dildo. Steve was the closest one.
See that?
You see that?
Gifted. I thought it was a dildo.
You're psychic, Steve. You should probably, you know, pursue those powers.
I don't know how it would go using that as a sex toy. That might be dangerous. You gotta be quite careful there.
I don't think it would last very long under the pressure, but it's just it's a regular ice cream waffle cone, guys. I was eating like ice cream cones. Yeah.
Gotta have those if you have kids, man. My kids are going apeshit with popsicles right now. You know, like I've got an autistic son. We have to lock the refrigerator because he'll just eat the whole box of them.
Yeah, my son, like he's 2. He took the whole box of popsicles up to his room. He ate like 2 of them and then fell asleep with it on his bed, and it just like it melted.
Yeah, you can't have nice furniture until your kids are 12 at least. We got all those. We have decent furniture, but we have all covers everywhere, and she just washes the covers. And you know, you got kids, so you know there's always like gummy bears and pretzels and shit all in the couch cushions. I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing in here? There's like a half a pound of food in this couch. It's great.
So these, you know, how do we're the whole narrative on Lou Elizondo and all these CIA guys.
It's collapsing. It's collapsing before our very eyes.
It's finally like the information has reached the peak and it's coming out. But there's still so much more to this whole UFO story and the narrative and how far the CIA will go to keep its secrets and to keep its secret organizations that were set up to, you know, essentially during the Manhattan Project to keep these kinds of secrets.
Well, you know what I think is important to do, and I'm going to start doing this next week. I want to do a sort of a timeline, and I want to see what was really popping in the UFO community. What were people really talking about pre-TTSA and Lou Elizondo? Because we might get some indication of what they're trying to keep us away from. You know, it's just like before Corey Goode got hugely popular, And I think that was a psyop too.
Yeah, yeah, you know,
People were making huge progress on real secret space program research and start finding things out. And suddenly, here comes this wackadoo guy talking about I time traveled and they age regressed me and I met reptilian aliens. And it was so out there wild. And it's secret space program, secret space program. Before that, people were seriously researching the secret space program, finding missing money, finding secret weird projects having to do with the space program, unacknowledged special access projects, and other stuff. And it seemed like that was really heating up. And then along comes Corey Good that just turned that whole subject into people would laugh about it and think it's so fake.
Yep.
You know? So there may be some similarities
to Roswell too, because as Walter Bosley points out with his research, like that they were doing this whole Mercury program, you know, the early space program that predated, you know, NASA, which was didn't come till 1958, you know, 11 years after Roswell. But there was space program stuff going on.
Sure.
So. I'm gonna and what else was key that you think from that we should mention about Elizondo? And what else?
What else do I think?
Oh, there's Walter Bosley's in the chat. That's awesome, dude. What's up, man?
You know, come on the show because I got to bounce on out of here.
I know. Let's trying to open this up. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think what's really relevant and important is that he completely and totally misled the reporters that he was dealing with. Many of them are coming out and saying that they felt like they were purposefully misled. We've got at least Stephen Greenstreet and Brian Bender from Politico both saying that they believe they were manipulated and purposefully misled.
Yeah,
you know, there's just too many inconsistencies, and for Lou Elizondo, it seems like it really is, as someone I know described it to me, death by 1,000 cuts for him. There hasn't been one big bombshell that proves that he's a fraud. It's been all these little cuts, you know, like he had no assigned responsibilities, the Pentagon said. And now we find out there was no program. There was no program. It was a nickname for another program that he said he had absolutely nothing to do with. Then we find out that he's running around giving everybody lists of people that are felons that are all his critics and mentally unstable people. And I was in that discussion or on that list, and I'm not a felon. And, you know, and then we find out that he's using sock puppet accounts. It's been these little things that just it's really adding up now, though, and it's reached like a critical point. And now he's going to run away and take a break from social media right as the heat is really on him.
Yeah, dark journalists saw through Elizondo immediately. I got that link up, guys, if people want to join too. You know what's interesting is the whole stuff that in Greenstreet about the OSAP and the dino-beavers.
That's so ridiculous. That's what they were spending money on.
Because I think that, you know, I mentioned to Greenstreet, I mean, like, could the dino-beavers have been a sticky trap, you know, what's called a honey trap?
Honey trap, yeah. I thought that myself. Yeah. A way to discredit the whole thing if it goes south, right?
Yeah, if it goes south, they can just bring out this stuff and be like, oh, well, hey, you know, did you know that they also studied werewolves and ghosts and dino-beavers?
That's so ridiculous, yeah.
How ridiculous is that? It's just, I mean, it's got to be, you know, one of these intelligence spook things. And that just shows the level of secrecy that they pile into this stuff. Because OSAP did some interesting, we get some interesting FOIA requests out of OSAP, you know, program.
Yeah, and here's the other thing about Elizondo. I think that the cracks in the dam are just now becoming a big problem for him. And I predict that a lot more in the next 6 months, we're going to find out that he lied about a lot more that we don't know about right now. That's what I'm predicting. I think that Greenstreet is really revved up and on that case. He's going to keep digging, and I don't think it's going to go real well for Mr. Elizondo.
No, I don't think it's going good. I think that he's in peak downfall mode, and that's why they're releasing the sticky trap now. And I think that that's, you know, I don't know. We'll see with Green Street if he's going to pursue that, or if he's
Remember,
going
that's episode 1, and I think he's on a course to continue with his current kind of research into Lou and all of this.
Dude,
There's
dark
so much more
journalist.
to come.
DJ is the man.
DJ says, "Hi, hey, Kate Snyder.
Don't
It's
flag me
Mrs.
for using that
Kate
video.
Snyder, for those that don't know, is Mrs. Dark Journalist. I
No,
don't know
isn't
what
that
else to say.
Olivia?
No,
Who's Olivia?
Olivia is like a producer coworker.
She's a producer coworker. All right.
Yeah, Kate
All right.
Snyder is his girlfriend.
Oh, all right. I didn't even know. All right.
Yeah,
Cool. Kate.
I didn't know either until she told me. Yeah, but Kate's cool, and it's sort of a researcher on her own. She sent me that clip of Elizondo getting ripped apart by Megyn Kelly and showing the dead man defense. I got a letter from a dead senator that was involved in a $22 million scam, that he gave $22 million to his buddy that's a campaign contributor, and he said I ran the UFO program, and he's dead, and you can't interview him for clarification about recent revelation.
They have some interesting, you know, this is where all the files on metallic glass and metamaterials and some of these other advanced aerospace materials.
Dude, you must be as ADD as me, man.
Yeah, man. I focus on the science on this channel, and I want to keep it like kind of stuck to the science, because, you know, Hal Puthoff, despite, you know, the disinfo and stuff, he has been involved in a lot of real interesting classified programs. He does have you know, a degree.
Yeah, but to me, when you look into the programs, it seems wasteful to spend money on the things that Hal Puthoff has spent money on. You know, like, show me, he's literally right now still trying to get investors for free energy stuff. Like, you've had 50 years to work on this. Show us something that works. Stop collecting money and show us something that works. That's what, you know. And he's looked into all kinds of fringe wackadoo.
But some of the stuff is not fringe wackadoo, and yet
I get that. And you're a science guy, and I'm sure that you are a better judge of some of his work.
Go on earthtech.org. One of the things that, you know, free energy is cold fusion is free energy. Transmutation of particles, which is maybe what's going on. I think what's going on in these UFO artifacts, which, you know, I think that it's a type of cold fusion fuel cell. And I think that they're, you know, using transmutation to extract fusion energy out of these fuel cells or fuel rods. And that's my whole scientific theory on it. And because I've done a lot of research into cold fusion, and the research that Hal Puthoff has published on earthtech.org about cold fusion is junk. It's garbage. It's like disinfo or something, dude. And that's what really puzzles me, is because, you know, Puthoff does not put out.
Puthoff does not put out. My sense is that he overpromises and underdelivers. He, you know, I'm going to develop these free energy devices, or I'm going to develop anti-gravity technology. Many people have suggested that Hal Puthoff lied to Tom DeLonge and told him that he cracked the
I've underpromised from him everything. Like, we created the Hover Brothers, and we didn't promise like a craft right away. We just promised that we're going to do, you know, real research into anti-gravity and stuff. Like,
and you did.
And we did. And we published a lot of more stuff. We put out a lot more than Puthoff did, you know, and crew did put out. So I don't know. These guys are
We have another guest, and they're trying to come in or popping in.
Yeah. I had this guy Eric Anderson on. I don't know. He removed himself and then rejoined. Eric, did you?
Hey. Yeah, just dropping in on the conversation. I'm coming in kind of late. But just here on the scientific technical side, and also a little bit of the cultural side. My own interest in UFOs goes way back to my own sighting, but then also the history of the place, my hometown of Galesburg, Illinois, which was actually featured in Project Blue Book. So the previous iteration of what we're seeing right now in the congressional hearings, so forth. It's it seems to be there's this perennial cycle of
what else? What else is out there? Is there like a museum or anything like cool landmarks to visit out there? Because I went.
well, yeah, I mean it's
I'm
it's a home of
no.
Knox College. It's the last remaining site of the Lincoln Douglas debates. The railroad is here. It's the second largest switching yard in North America. So pretty major intersection. It's where the Burlington Northern and Santa Fe lines come together. So it actually has pretty strategic importance. It's about 200 miles southwest of Chicago. So just outside of the ring of the nuclear missiles that were stationed as air defense in the Cold War, the Hercules and Nike system that was deployed there. Interestingly enough, right at the peak of all of that stuff, when they were putting these literally nuclear missiles, the idea was that they would ring the strategic locations like Chicago and Washington, D.C. and other places with surface-to-air missiles that would do an airburst nuclear explosion and take out the bombers before they could drop their payload on the cities. But Galesburg is in this sort of interesting intersection in between. It's in between the St. Louis area and the Chicago area. But it has the strategic resource, which is the switching yards of the railroads. So it was actually on the first strike list, one of those leaked first strike lists from the Cold War. And
not a good place to be if there's a nuclear war.
Right? Yeah, it's like they're gonna try to hit that first, but they'd probably do it with a neutron bomb because they want to preserve the infrastructure. That aside, it turns out there were these mobile Ajax missile systems, the Hercules actually, which was the second generation, and that were deployed in this area specifically to protect that strategic resource. And the famous 1967 UFO wave that happened in March of 1967 across the country, which included some of those famous cases with the nuclear missiles shutting down and so forth. Other visitations in places like, all across the Midwest. There were flying saucers, and they all looked the same. They all had this sort of pulsating red disc-shaped craft visiting very sensitive sites.
Nuclear facilities, yeah.
Nuclear facilities. And there was a series of sightings around Galesburg, and the subsequent investigation by Project Blue Book and the subsequent pretty flimsy cover-up with the explanation that it was just some college students hoaxing it with hot air balloons and kites, which actually did happen, but it wasn't what what all of the people saw. So it's
isn't it interesting how many UFO cases there are where there's like two different events that get conflated into one, like the Phoenix Lights. There's the flare event, and then there's the other event that people swear this was not flares. I seen it right over me. It blocked out the sky. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that many UFO events have some other event that gets tacked on as that's all it was kites. That's all it was flares, almost by design.
It seems like
that's your neuralizer right there. So we all saw in Men in Black, they pull out that tool and they
mind wipe them suckers.
Mind wipe right there, man. That's you got to think strategically, So
Yeah, you just put out enough information, and it muddies the waters. And if it's, I mean, the truth is crazy enough. So you put a little bit of extra crazy on it, and then people will dismiss it.
I mean, I played every flight simulator that came out in the 90s for PC and computer. And
You remember those first ones
flare
where
and
there
shape,
was like
flare and
it was
shape.
like-
where you
it
can
was like 3 frames per second and all shitty graphics. Have you seen the newest Microsoft Flight Simulator? It's ridiculous.
you know, there's F-15s on the runway, and you know, F-14s. They're ready to take off, and they can shoot flares. You know, so if there's a UFO incident, we could dispatch the Air Force to go there and shoot some flares off and do some tests in that area. And then there'd be the second incident. We could, you know, say, yeah, no, this is what it was, and you guys are all crazy. And
yeah, and I mean, that's sort of my feeling. I haven't been following the you know, with super duper intensity the new footage that has been dropping from the you know, the official investigations. And
You're not missing anything.
I mean, what
It's
I have seen
garbage footage. You're not missing anything. You're not
yeah,
missing
I know. I mean, what I have seen, it's just like they put out the most easily dismissed as like, okay, that's a Mylar balloon. You know, it's like,
yes. That's exactly what it was. So, you know, if anyone who's done the research, what was the name of the guy that saw the he saw the UFO take off? It was a test of an ICBM, and he said he saw the UFO like shoot a laser at it and take it down.
Oh yeah, what is that guy's name? I remember watching the footage. It was like, you know, central to Stephen Greer's
He was a pretty convincing witness, but the problem was that apparently somebody came and took the film of the launch with the UFO.
So where's that film? Why wasn't that film shown at the friggin' instead of Corbell's stupid Boca video?
Or the very famous Holloman Air Force landing footage that apparently exists, according to many people.
Yeah.
And it landed, and there was interaction with beings, according to many witnesses, and apparently that footage got spirited off. And an interesting part of that is that they had to use mechanical cameras for some reason, because they were afraid that the UFO or the spacecraft interfered with electronic powered cameras. So they used old like wind cameras, 16 millimeter or something like that.
Yeah, fully mechanical. You know,
and there was apparently multiple cameramen, multiple angles, and that got spirited off. And for a time in the early 80s, somebody was making a documentary, and they said they were going to give him the footage. And then they backed out of giving him the footage, but they still gave him like a far away shot where all you see is a light descending from the sky down. Garbage footage. Yeah. And apparently that's all the government wants us to see is the garbage footage. Now, people like Elizondo and others have claimed that there's 27-minute long videos that are super high definition and clear, but we never see them. People talk about them.
So we need like a new hearing that has subpoena power or something, because I really think that we ought to go after this Pinnacle memorandum and this whole military industrial stovepiped operation that was designed around the Manhattan Project specifically for the purpose of keeping secrets from the federal government. It couldn't be more blaring and glaring obvious where we need to look, and that this whole thing was a contrived misdirection. I got to look into more of the people that were running this and some of their backgrounds. Moultrie and that other U.S. Navy guy.
You know, I'm sure I have this in my archives of files, but it's one of those that I didn't see very much significance to, but I didn't really dig into it too much. So I'm going to look into that. Maybe I'll do a show on that one.
You know, it's amazing how the fusion of intelligence is not working on the level that it should within these organizations and stuff, because
especially since 9/11, they're supposed to share information very freely between agencies now, and they don't.
This kind of stuff, man. It's
look at these two guys that were testifying before Congress. They seemed completely and totally oblivious to very famous UFO cases, and I don't get that.
Yeah, no, I mean I saw just a couple of clips from that, and just you ask a direct question like, have you ever heard of this stuff? And they're like, well, I don't know, that's news to me, it's like not in my purview or whatever. It's like, okay, guys, this is not serious.
When in doubt, deny. Yeah.
Also crazy because you meet people who have this attitude that they've heard of everything, so like I met this guy, 40-year Air Force veteran. He's worked in, he has a classified secret clearance and everything, and I just happened to meet him, and so I'm like, all right, well, do you know about this and this? Do you know? And I started listing different technologies that I knew about, and I got to a point where he's like, oh, well, I haven't heard about that. But that sounds real interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. So it's like you get to a point where it's like even this guy like hasn't heard of some of the stuff that we've dug up here and covered on this channel. So it's
and I mean I think that you're actually kind of pushing up against the the state of the art and the convergence of two very different sorts of fields of study, which is solid state physics on the one hand when it comes to metamaterials and nonlinear optical materials, electro optical effect,
condensed matter,
condensed matter stuff, and then general relativity on the other side, and the notion that general relativity, in my view anyway, being a geometric description of nature, really kind of lies at the heart of it. So connecting those together is in this really interesting way, right? Where you have negative index of refraction materials that are able to create basically an imaginary part of the I'm sorry, I'm getting off into the weeds here. We can skip to something else, but it really is interesting how these very different parts of kind of research, it seems that there is some sort of convergence, and it's where they converge that's where the special sauce is. That's where the real juice is, as far as these novel propulsion technologies and some of this exotic stuff that I think we're getting glimpses of, most of it from right here terrestrially, not necessarily discounting stuff from elsewhere, but and I think that the secrecy around it is that it's actually probably fairly simple, right? And should the secret get out, right, then a doomsday device is potentially available in the garage or basement of whatever kind of lunatic wants to access it, and so there's this real there's this iron grip that they want to have on the information itself, because if it's not released in the right way, it could have disastrous consequences, irreversible sorts of effects.
Don't feel bad about getting off in the weeds, because somebody in the live chat said I'm getting off into the weed myself.
I heard that.
Right? Yeah. Well, here in Illinois, it's perfectly legal, and there's a dispensary not more than 3 blocks away from where I live. So
Not legal here unless you have a medical card. I'm in Pennsylvania.
Well, easy enough to get a medical card if you need it, probably.
Well, it's interesting because I was one of the first people, I think, in my state to get one. I had a brain aneurysm, and I was on a lot of opioids.
Oh my gosh!
So there was a time when you really had to be like a cancer patient or have some really serious thing, or they wouldn't give it to you.
Right.
But they've made it now so easy. Like you could just go to a doctor and say anything. I have anxiety, I have headaches, I have insomnia. They give it to everybody. So
they got it set up now like it was to be able to get OxyContin in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Now you can get your weed card just like you can get your OxyContin in the early 2000s.
Well, yeah, I think the weed card is a lot better than the OxyContin card.
Oh yes, Right. No,
Yeah,
I was just
much
making a jab at the at the Sackler family.
Solar is here.
Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
there's Solar, man. What's happening?
Yeah, they really let any idiot on this
What's up,
show,
Lord?
don't they?
They just
How
let
you
Yeah,
guys
man.
doing? Yeah, I know.
He's
I
getting
got
ready
my
to start telling
haircut,
some
shaved my beard off.
Y12 stories.
How's
You shaved
everybody
your beard
doing?
off?
Tired.
Hey, right
Oh.
on, man.
Yeah, you messaged me, Jeremy. I was just walking out the door at work. That was kind of funny. I just got done. I was on Steve's show texting away at my workbench, man.
Yeah.
What's going on about Lou Jimenez, bro?
You're calling that guy a slap. Am I saying it wrong? I thought it was Lou Angeles. It's Lou Jimenez.
He was calling himself Lou Angeles the other night. He changed his name. I as much as Goof on tears people a new one, I just don't understand why he did not.
Well, because he was trying to be he was trying to be diplomatic and civil.
Where is
He was
Goof
trying to
on?
be civil.
Yeah, he was trying to be civil. Which I
Well,
understand what
don't know
Goof
why
was
the
doing.
guy, what's his name, Lou Jimenez, was being a dick to him, and I just wish that he would have told Lou Jimenez the hell off. Lou Jimenez came into this circuit, thinks he's the shit. He's no one. What he did to me pisses me off. He got all this Bob Lazar information off me, and this young man up here, alien scientist, was talking to me. He did a few videos about Bob first, and I was interested in what he had to say. And I watched the videos, and then we began conversating back and forth. And he had Jeremy Corbell on his show one time. After he had Jeremy Corbell on his show, he began to lick his testicles. It was unbelievable, dude. He all of a sudden was like, "I don't want to say anything bad about, or I don't want to look back into Bob's investigation anymore at all." Basically, he threw the truth right out the window and took Jeremy Corbell to the dance. It was ridiculous, dude.
But that's the whole point of the show. It's
this
called,
guy here is a.
It's called Unidentified Celebrity Review, but it should be called Unidentified Celebrity Ass Lickers, because that's
exactly.
what they do.
Tell them what he did to Lou. He licked. I mean, he literally licked Lou Elizondo's what? Stephen Cambian. He has been telling everybody all night it's awful.
These were the original interviews he did with you, and like he did it. They only have like 100 views back when he like first started, you know.
Yeah.
And
before he had 4 or 5 slaves working for him for free.
Yeah, that's
and the big name guests.
You were on there with Michael too.
I went on there,
yeah, that's true. You were on there, Jeremy. I mean, this guy is an actor, by the way. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that he's an actor and
out-of-work actor that decided to start a show about a hot topic, and he got lucky. And he's been selling out since he started.
It's a setup, bro. Steve, it's a setup. There's no way that guy's luck. I mean, come on.
He said that that Lou approached him to be on his show first. That Lou approached him at his work, to be on his show.
Did you hear where his work was? He said he was working in a restaurant or something somewhere, and it's like, you know what?
Out-of-work actor. Out-of-work actor.
It happens at a restaurant. Did you ever notice that, or a damn grocery store? I just think that's strange that they just happened to bump into each other at a restaurant in L.A. or somewhere. Come on, man. That's bullshit. And while Lou was working there, not Lou Elizondo was working there, Lou Jimenez. Lou, come on the show if you would like to right now, sir. I would like to talk to you about how full of shit you are, okay?
Well, and I think that goes to the manipulation, because he showed up in person to get on his show, and I think that's where he started getting manipulated.
Lou Elizondo used and manipulated him to help push his narrative. He needed a useful idiot. He needed a useful idiot to sit there and throw him softballs and lick his asshole and not challenge him, and he got 7 interviews with him. More than anybody else. He did more interviews with Lou Elizondo than Fox News did.
Yeah, they were disgusting.
He beat Tucker.
Can I ask you something, Steve? Okay. This guy, he did all these videos. He did all these interviews with Lou Elizondo. How on earth did this guy's show start? Meaning Lou Jimenez. His show just started. Did it start off on UFOs? Because it's called the what? The unidentified.
No.
What?
No, I think he used to talk about acting shit and stuff like that.
Right.
And then he switched to UFOs.
Why? Yeah, he was by himself, like said.
Why did he switch to UFOs, Lord?
Because it was a hugely hot topic, and he was an out-of-work actor that thought he could cash in and surprise, surprise, he did. And just for the benefit of anybody that doesn't know, and I'm very critical of this, he has 4 or 5 people working for him for free, and he keeps all the money. That's
yeah,
a slimeball thing to do. And how am I supposed to? Solar Marshall, it's not fair. I'm a show host. I'm supposed to compete with some guy that's got 5 slave laborers.
You brought up a great point.
Great interview, man.
Super chat.
I did
smile, and he just puts them all in his pocket.
I don't want to totally sit here. I'm not going to sit here and bash Lewis the whole time.
No, we should move on.
Would you mention?
People want to work for free, they can.
Where's the message where he said, "I'll be the tool in your tool belt"? Like I heard something about this, and I just want to confirm that.
On my Twitter, I could say.
Yeah, that's a message that had. That was a message that was involved with the Felon 5 and
by the way, real quickly, Jeremy, I have no idea why you did not pay any attention to what I had stated. The missile that was shot down was over Vandenberg Air Force. That was in the 1960s. And that was Lieutenant Colonel Robert Jacobs, the United States Air Force. It was at Vandenberg Air Force. I think it was the 13th, 69th photo group. And he, to this day, still tells that story. He's getting old. He was on Larry King and stuff like that. That video can be found. If you type in UFO shot down at Vandenberg Air Force Base, it will come up.
No, I think that's a recreation. I don't. According to the original witness, I thought he said that they came and they took all the footage. So somebody made a recreation.
They don't have the original footage exactly, but I am talking about they did recreate it. But I'm talking about the interview with him. Talking about it is incredible. He said that the UFO circled the ICBM, which was going thousands of miles an hour, like it was nothing, and it stopped and shot a beam out of it from one side and then raced around to the other side and shot, I think, 2 more beams out of it.
What was the name of his?
Another UFO involved also. What was that?
What was his name?
I actually found it. Robert Jacobs is his name. I will never forget that case. I have a good, you want me to post it right now?
He's on camera, isn't he? Doesn't he?
This is one of the better. This is one of Stephen Greer interviewed him, and it was great.
He had to have seen it through.
Very good.
Jeremy,
he had to have seen it through a TV or something.
Jeremy,
Lieutenant Robert Jacobs.
Yeah. There it is,
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
I sent you the
chat. See it?
Jeremy, I sent you the "use me as a tool" from Lou Jimenez to Lou Elizondo message on Twitter. I sent it in DM.
Yeah, there's also some fighting going on about Stephen Greer. I will say one thing about Stephen Greer. Stephen Greer, he is a name dropper like nothing I've ever seen. Stephen Greer, one case in point was when he went to that one wedding and stated that he was there.
James Woolsey.
Next to the CIA director, Woolsey and all that stuff. It pissed Woolsey off so bad that he had put a note out about it. But Stephen Greer is an absolute name dropper, and he doesn't.
Did you hear the latest documentary? He claimed that he was in an airport flying to a secret underground base, and there Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top met him and knew that he was going on a secret mission to an underground base.
What did Billy say?
Man.
I'm still trying to get an on the record statement from him, but let's just say that's
you're
horseshit.
dismissing it. You didn't get it on the record yet.
That's crazy.
No, not yet.
But you were claiming that you're saying it's hilarious about what Billy has to say, but
that's one of the cousins.
Oh, I'm going to drop it. I'll drop it for you. You'll get it. Don't worry.
Drop it. I want to hear it. We want to know. What is it? What did he say?
Why don't you get Billy Gibbons on camera telling backing up Stephen Greer's fake story, you fraudster?
A fake story, just like all those fake fucking videos you guys put out for years.
Yeah, 5 years of putting out fake videos, all with the same camera. But you said
did you see last night's video?
These guys that put out tons of fake bullshit just have to have the truth now, buddy.
Solar, did you see last night's video?
I don't pay any attention to your stuff, dude.
So you're blind then?
No, I'm not blind. I can see right now.
Yeah,
apparently you're not watching.
If you shit on me 800 times, but then you're nice to me once, it doesn't change the fact that you shit on me.
I'm just asking a simple question. I'm not attacking. I'm just saying, hey, look, what did Billy have to say? That's all. I'm not.
I'm putting it on a show, and I'm not going to drop it here for you.
Yeah, don't give it.
You're the one that made a documentary, you dumbass, saying that some guy went on a secret mission with a guy from ZZ Top. It was your responsibility to check into it, you dumbass.
I didn't say that. That was Dr. Greer. It came out of his mouth.
You didn't fact check him. You made the documentary.
So we're supposed to
and then
fact
Rich
check
from Goofon backed you up. Well, Stephen Greer wouldn't have done the documentary if they fact checked everything he said. So I guess you just make videos with liars because you don't want to fact check anybody.
I thought Solar
He said he went on a
he's
secret
name
mission
dropper.
with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, you asshole. And you put it in a documentary and you didn't check with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top.
What did Billy
I
say?
got to do that for you? I'm sorry, I won't curse anymore.
I think we
gotta
need
do the
to
work for
do
you
a
that you should have
mashup
done?
of the.
How much money did you make from
I
that
don't even know what's
documentary?
going on. I haven't heard.
You couldn't check with Billy Gibbons' people if he went on a secret mission?
No,
With
they don't
Stephen
have to.
Greer?
I don't got Billy's phone number.
Neither do I. Celebrities are hard people to get to.
Whoa, really? Okay. So there you go. So Greer said it. Greer versus Billy. It's up to Billy to make a statement. We're just there filming and they're
Again with the
stating his
cop-out.
statements.
We
and
just
we're gonna
videos from the public. We don't know if they're fake or not.
Did you watch last night's video, Stephen?
Okay.
I don't watch. He doesn't watch.
So you did what? So you got one good
Did you
video
watch
out of
last night's video,
5,000
Stephen?
frauds, and you want me to like?
Did you guys watch last night's video? LOL.
I think Rich played it on his show. You're talking about the guy with the gun scope?
No. The mass sighting over Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, that site.
There's another video over Hawaii.
Recycled.
Four different camera angles.
Yeah, look at it. It looks just like space debris dropping out of the air. I'm sure China or somebody will admit they had a satellite that deorbited sooner or later. I swear that
You call that space
footage looks
debris?
exactly like
I'm not exactly sure. We had physicists look at that.
Pretty
and that's
sure.
not-
Yeah, I'm
not
sure you
space
did have
debris.
physicists look at. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
bring it up.
Doesn't mean they
I'm
know
a
what it is.
physicist.
Yeah, take a
All
look
right,
at it,
let's have a
Eric. You let me know if
let's
this
do
is
space
space
I mean,
debris.
let me look at it. I'll
spaceship.
tell you what's up.
Let's not
It's a
take
squadron
let's-
of 10,000
let's not take
alien
assumptions.
spaceships.
We're
We got
assuming.
two physicists.
We're not
here.
saying it's alien spacecraft either.
All
So
about
You are the
fake
king
news,
of cop-outs. You know that, guys? You're the king of cop-outs. And by the
Hold
way,
on
what
a
about
sec.
that video you stole off that guy recently?
Stole
I
what
got the
video?
video on that. I'm going to do a show on it next week.
what
You
video
stole a
did you
video
steal?
from somebody without permission, and it was a light on a tree. But
A
you
light
hyped
on
it
a
up like
tree.
it was aliens. That's what you do.
Which
King
one?
of garbage.
They really.
I don't know. 10,000 videos. You don't
Yeah,
get it
here
right
it
all the
is.
time. Plus.
Here it
Go,
is.
keep forwarding it a little bit, Jeremy. Go to different. Keep forwarding it. Go to the fourth video. Keep going a little bit. It gets clear. There's a better shot.
Deorbiting.
There. Yeah, there you go. So this is space debris.
No, that's
Look
a
at it.
physical object in the sky. It could be. I mean, who knows what it is? All right.
Well, of course, that's
Now,
what
wait a
we're
minute.
trying
I
to
wanted
figure
to ask
out.
him a question. This though, I thought you stated that this one of them was from a different time, though, wasn't it? Or was this?
No, this has all happened the same day, same
Didn't
time.
you show another video though? that was from a- Didn't you show
multiple
another
sources.
video from a different night though? On a serious
Nope,
note?
nope. It's
Okay.
all the same night.
All the same night, and it's from
Yes.
it's all from Hawaii. Okay.
Yes, from Oahu, Kaneohe, all the people. It's our state, so we have a lot of connections, multiple
right.
sources.
Yeah.
Are you saying that's definitely aliens?
I never said it was aliens.
No, he does the cop-out. He does the Cosmic Con shuffle.
If
You
you
got to
take
say,
a
oh,
look at this-
well, it can't be this.
Well,
it can't
can
be
you
that.
tell me what it is, Stephen? We're
I'll
just
tell you
presenting
what.
the
I'll show
video.
It could
you.
be anything. It's lights in the
Come off
sky.
the lake,
It's
but it's
lights
at
in
a
the
different.
sky.
I mean,
it could be
I'll
anything.
show you what it's off.
I
Jeremy,
have some
We're presenting
drones
the video. You
that
want to
look
kill the
pretty
messenger.
cool.
Jeremy,
when they're
show
up
this
there.
from the European Space Agency. That video I just posted in the private chat. Show that. Looks an awful lot like that. Different height, but
So you're arguing against
that's
the physics.
interesting.
debris. It's a lot of debris. It's far too close together. Why would something fly that close together? I don't know. It looks to
I
me like
don't ask me.
to me it
okay.
looks like it just looks
Yeah,
like debris breaking up.
Cop-out.
And
I don't know what it is.
So there was a
Keep
Russian
watching, Jeremy, when it starts
satellite
breaking
that deorbited.
It doesn't look like
recently.
that. Good,
Yeah,
good
just
find.
hold on. Wait till it.
On
Wait.
this
wait
thing.
Oh,
till
there we go.
it happens, man.
Wait till it
That's
breaks
on the
up.
end
That's
of
not
the
our
audio.
video. This
That's-
is space debris.
I didn't say it
It's
was your video, but hold on a minute. You'll
Oh,
see.
now
that
you
it starts to turn
see.
into
Yeah,
the
you
same
saw
type
it for a
of shit.
second there with the different.
We're just using this for
fragments.
comparison. What we
You know,
do is
Comparison, right?
And I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
found
It's a
that
great
one.
comparison. 100%. Good job on the comparison. Great
Hey,
job.
sometimes we call this, UFOlogy. I call it aerospace
I
intelligence.
mean, you wanted to see something that it
Sure.
looked like. Now it's starting to really look like it, but you can see that's much more in focus and it's much closer. What you'd filmed. It
Yeah,
is
and your
very-
video is much further away. cousins.
Yeah, exactly.
brothers.
His video's
No,
for the
it's
way
not.
it's filmed on his cell phone.
It's not further away.
Well,
And it
somebody's
doesn't
got a
look
much
anything
better
like
video.
this. You have to admit it.
Looks
It's
very
not even
similar
close.
to me. If you take the zoom
Every
that
single-
this and the
every
clarity,
single
this one
light.
has zoom and clarity.
Yeah,
Yours
that
is a
thing looks
garbage
great.
video.
The
Why are we
more
arguing
this
about
breaks
this? You
up,
guys want
the
to
more
like say
this-
it's space
because-
debris, but I don't think
Because
it
of
is.
your
you can't
track record
stand
of
it. Someone
garbage.
gives you
That's
a
awesome.
fucking excuse for what you're showing, dude.
It's
It
just
bothers
interesting. You got 4 different angles of this thing. It seems like
Yeah,
the lights
and
are
when you
consistent.
find out,
Yeah,
find
just
out
like
it was
the
a
pins
Russian
of
satellite
S4
that came
too,
back
right?
in, it's going to drive you nuts, right?
Yeah.
Play
Some
it
guy
again
that
and look.
stole from his
play
own
that
cancer
video again,
benefit found
Jeremy,
a
and then
pin,
we can
and
go
that's a
back
big
and
story to you guys.
look at how
That was
those
the
lights
first
in
one.
this
That was what's
video
funny
are
is that's
breaking
the
and they're
first one I found.
sporadic.
There's ones that look much more like yours on here now, and I'm looking more.
These lights are very sporadic. They're not consistent like what we're looking at over in Hawaii. Not even close.
Oh, dude,
These
you
are
gotta
remaining-
understand this thing.
remaining in
It takes
position.
a long period of time. We're
And
just looking at a few seconds of it. If you keep looking and looking, it
There's
changes.
4 different angles. Some last longer than others. We'll take what we could get.
Oh,
You're
God.
killing the messenger. What's wrong here?
Well,
Can't we
dude, what
just,
is
like,
it then? What are
look
you
at this
showing
stuff?
us? What is it? What do you think it is? I want to hear your.
no, he won't say what it is because
He
it's
won't.
a cop out. He's
Yeah,
gonna
I mean,
tell
they're
you.
interesting lights in the sky, worthy
Just
of
keep
further
playing
study,
it.
right?
Just listen
What
to
is
what
it?
we say.
You know, it's like we need more.
Did
I
you
don't
do
see the
research?
trails on it.
What
You
is
know,
it? Eric,
it looks,
do you
it
want us
looks
to,
very similar, but I don't see like the trails on.
No, and that's because
Yeah,
it's
I
not
agree.
been. It has not. It's not been up long enough. You have to keep looking. It depends on where it's coming back into the earth at. Also, man, there's tons of these videos, bro. I've seen that same type of video before. Where it
They
looks
don't look
just like
anything
that.
alike, Solar. I'm sorry.
Do you remember the
And-
one where they had filmed it and then it was squid at that one? That squid that one time.
They
but that was
might if
filmed
yours
from
had the
above.
same zoom and
Remember when
clarity
it was
that this
filmed
one
from
he
above?
has.
There's all kinds of
has.
stuff that can happen. It's very strange. The atmosphere is very strange.
Isn't it
Here's
cool
another
video
one.
though? 4 different sources, people shocked on the ground catching it, and they're
Yeah, I
saying
actually
this is
Further
saw
a
that
study,
study.
but
before.
Yeah, I
why,
wanna
do you
They're
guys,
on the ground.
why do you guys ever do the work before you put the video
Hold on
out?
a sec. Wait,
It is a good video.
we've interviewed thousands of eyewitnesses. We have video testimonies along with their
Oh,
videos.
Michael Schratt.
Thousands
Oh,
of
my best
original
friend.
links. I don't know what you're talking about doing the homework. What do you
Oh,
want us to
Michael
do? To
Schratt.
fly to every
I don't know. Aren't you
UFO
guys filmmakers? You couldn't enhance that footage.
Oh
You couldn't
my
zoom
God.
in
You want us to go
or
after
try to
every
enhance
single
it to get more
UFO?
clarity. You
We
just put it out like this. Like
We enhanced
potato
it. We actually
camera
add
footage?
brightness, contrast. We slow it down. This is our enhancement of the government footage that the government couldn't even enhance themselves, and we do a
Which
better
one?
job at them. We're enhancing the footage as best as we can. We're
Oh, that
confirming the
thing there,
sources.
man! I can't even believe they even showed that damn. I'm sorry, that thing is just not worthy of even.
Of
being
course,
shown.
they should.
The video
Yeah.
you showed last night's much better, but it's way too
Thank
much.
you.
Too much
Thank you.
traffic.
And we have thousands of those
Brent.
videos that are much better than what we got presented over
Well,
the
Brent,
years
Brent,
by
Yeah,
show 'em. I've seen some of your videos, man. Some of
As
your
much
videos are
trash
pretty
as you
damn
talk
good.
about
Yeah.
third phase guys, they had better videos than the Pentagon showed.
Yes, they did. Absolutely, they did, man. Yeah.
hundreds and thousands of videos with connections and the sources.
What's
from the
ridiculous
people.
is that anybody thinks that the Pentagon's going to show us anything we don't know. And the only videos they must have are stuff that's hidden in their vault. They need to show us that.
Can I
shit.
ask? Can I ask Stephen?
They do a better
Stephen,
job
what's-
than Corbell.
Stephen, what language should we say? What can you give me a?
I just
in
don't
your
respect
opinion?
what you do because you shovel so much garbage, fake shit
No, we
into
don't.
the conversation.
We don't. Go
5
go-
years you put out videos claiming people were sending them to you.
This was
People have
like-
proven they were all
this is
taken
like-
from the same camera.
Brent and
Always
Blake.
over Hawaii.
Brent
What a
and Blake,
coincidence. Come
you
on,
guys
man.
don't remember when you had the alien hanging under the bumper of the car, for
Of
God's sake.
course we did. We removed that a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Come on,
Alien
bro.
underneath
I
the
remember
car.
you
The
guys
last
don't
one,
care
but we
if
took
it's-
that-
And you
we
know
took
what?
that
You
out.
You don't
guys
care if it's
made a
fake as
lot
long as
of
it's
money
money.
doing it. You guys made a lot of money doing it, but you also fooled a lot of people.
Yeah, good for
Hey,
you. If
the
that's your
reason why
goal.
we're here collecting this evidence is what you're
Change.
watching right now.
The
What-
only
what's
reason
the- what the-
Goofon has told me you guys have changed, and I've watched you guys. You have changed, but I still think you go back to the bullshit if you have to.
You know what?
Yeah, you know,
That's
all
another
the
thing
trial
with
is
Stephen-
bad.
All,
with your
all you
Stephen-
want, but hey, they got to 800,000 subscribers.
Well,
somehow.
yeah.
Yeah, but if
Yeah,
I just
bro, if
if
they
I
would-
just threw garbage out every week, I could probably do that too. If I didn't do any
Right.
work, just put it out.
They had a
Yeah,
lot
right,
of-
Stephen. You
think
know,
so.
out of all of the wells in that are out there, the UFOlogy well has been poisoned the most. So,
Well, here's
you
one of
know,
the
it's like you need
poisoners.
extreme
Put out
filters to
garbage.
like even make any sense of it.
So as
I don't
Jeremy
know.
stated,
Don't
we
see the
have better
value in it.
evidence than the Pentagon has submitted,
I don't
and we
think
have
so.
thousands of these videos. And we're calling out the thing that's happening in social media, where they're the ones that are really guilty because they're doing it on a major, massive scale. And they're showing Jeremy Corbell's video that we've debunked years ago that this was bokeh effect.
He's a
Finally,
joke. You
finally
guys
that's been
his
stated.
stuff pokey garbage, yeah, right. His stuff's garbage, Jeremy Corbell. Absolutely.
Hey,
thank you.
and also, the major media is putting up this garbage over and over again, and we called it out and we caught him on it.
It's done on
Hey,
purpose.
there's
Jeremy
things that have
Corbell.
changed over the years at Third Phase Moon. When we see any indication of CGI, we throw it in the trash, and we'll call it out if it gets too big on the internet, just to debunk it, because somebody has to do it with the big.
Well, let me ask you this, man. Let's say we find some bunk, because you got a ton of people that watch your channel. If we find some straight up bunk and I contact you, and I'll get a hold of Mike Schratt, because he's one of my best friends, and I say, Mike,
Michael Schratt,
can you put the
you just got off the phone with him 4 minutes ago.
Some bunk, dude. I'm serious about this. You guys can what you can do is you can come back into people's lives by saying, hey, look, we did make some mistakes years ago. We did what we did for production. We were trying to get our channel built up. We've changed our ways. We're actually debunking and truthing at this point, and maybe debunk some of this bull crap that's out there.
We have over and over and over again. You don't watch.
You won't debunk Stephen Greer because that's a big paycheck.
No,
for
I
you.
haven't, guys. I'm not gonna lie. There's just so much on the internet these days. And I work 10 hours a day, bro.
Greer is one of the most compelling guys in this field.
Compelling?
Why not?
You mean conconning? You mean? Come on.
Greer got me into this, man,
Prove
back
it.
with Disclosure Project back in the day. So, I can't, except I disagree with
Exactly. Greer did get a lot of people involved in this, as well as Third Phase of Moon, into this topic. But Greer, as in the UFO Congress, or not the UFO Congress, what was it? The National Press Club.
Yeah.
Was groundbreaking. He had 400 people backing him up. And
and he had a lot of fraudsters in that group.
Yeah.
I'm sure not every. Hey, this is a field that
time
obviously
was
some
fraud,
of our
obviously.
experts that we used to look up to have turned out not to be. And we know a lot of these guys, and they haven't changed. They're continuing to spread, at least, hey, like we've admitted, we've made mistakes. We're looking at this a lot more specifically in what kind of content we put out. And we've been conscious of this for a long time.
Keep saying that, but then you put out a documentary with Stephen Greer saying that an entire engineering firm got murdered over a free energy device in a certain state. Anybody can look at public records and see that there wasn't a mass murder of an entire company in that state. And you didn't do that. You just put that out. That's
It
what I'm
wasn't a
saying about
massive
shoveling
office
garbage.
shooting. It wasn't like an office shooting like you're claiming.
He said that all but one person in the entire company got murdered.
And you're acting like it's an office shooting, like somebody came in and murdered them all at the same time.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
you're
So
insinuating.
now we get the back. You backpedal, and now we have an explanation.
Well, I don't know.
The explanation should have been in the documentary. You should have asked Stephen Greer what was the name of the company, looked it up, and found out if anybody from that company got murdered. You didn't.
Yeah,
you just
you
let
guys-
him shovel garbage,
Okay.
fake information into the community. Because you filled your pockets with that Greer money. Good for you. If that's the goal that you have, congratulations. You make money very well shoveling garbage into the UFO community. That's and listen, I know we've talked on the phone, and I felt differently after we talked on the phone because I fell for we're trying to change. That was before the Greer documentary. Then I saw that garbage documentary and thought, no, you didn't change. Because if you changed, you wouldn't have put this garbage into the community. It was garbage. I'll tell you this, it was extremely well filmed, great music, incredible editing, very artistic,
Enthusiastic.
but the information in it was garbage. All the information in it was
film is
Greer
this, Steven?
telling this latest Greer documentary with them. I paid
Top
15.
Secret?
You owe me $13 too. I paid $13 for that garbage. If I
Yeah,
ever see you, I'm going to shake you. I'm going to turn you both upside down and shake you until I get my $13 back
Steven.
for that garbage film.
Is this it?
Yeah, that's it. Play the trailer. Go ahead and hit it. Play it.
Let's see it. What about letting us all watch it, cousins, for free right now? If you aren't about to
I don't know. I think
Well, we
it's
went
2
across the
hours of
country. We
repeated
flew.
shit.
We
2
flew up to
hours of
Virginia, back
repeated
and forth.
torrent that
We
shit.
worked
I mean,
months on this
if
stuff.
he's already made your money off it, let's play it for free right now.
No, that's how bad it is. It's not even
We
on
dropped
Pirate
the
Bay.
price on it.
I had a
How
picture
much
for it.
is it? There's my boy, Michael Schratz.
Play it.
I'll
Turn
buy
it
right
up.
now. If we can play it, you guys won't flag it.
Turn it
No,
up
of
and
course
shoot it.
not.
This is
We're not
just a
those.
trailer.
We're not
You're not
those
gonna
games.
flag a
We're not.
trailer.
Oh,
Play it.
that
It's
would suck if you flagged it.
Oh, come on. We don't play games like that.
Turn it up, Chairman.
I think I
Hard
played the
criminal.
trailer when I reviewed it on my channel. They didn't flag it, so
Hold up.
good for them.
Let me re-share this. Hold up, so I can get the sound in there because I'm on a above top secret. This is it. All right, you ready?
Roll it.
Roll it.
If the crash retrievals are true, then all bets are off.
Strat is back.
It's very hard for people to get their minds around where the real power is. And it's not at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The reality is something much more stark.
They've been working on this for 60, 70, perhaps 80 years.
The reason why the government is talking about these UFOs now.
Billy Carson, awesome.
Are these objects a national security concern? They're proffering a narrative of a national security threat that doesn't exist.
I call them alien reproduction vehicles. They're made by private corporations somewhere on this planet.
Technology from Roswell from 1947 has largely been held back from us.
Portal technology, teleportation, whatever you can imagine, it's already been done.
The biggest secrets are not zero-point energy and electrodynamics. It's the science of consciousness. All their communication systems are moving through the consciousness field and are thought actuated. The people at the CIA call it WSFM, weird science and frickin' magic. The transdimensional interstellar technology
Sounds like ultra
will
mega.
benefit humanity.
That has been tremendous disinformation.
The media is keeping secrets with the government.
These are lethal, vicious people. And I'm focused on exposing the extraordinary technologies that they want to keep secret. No aspect of life on Earth will be unaffected by it.
No, it's Stephen Greer.
Yeah, it took us about 4 months, traveled across the country twice to accomplish that. Different locations, Arizona, Virginia, and Los Angeles. And
I
even here
actually
in Hawaii.
applaud. This is what I will say. I applaud their filmmaking and their production skills. But the fact that this is 2 hours of almost all repeated information that was in previous projects of Stephen Greer, and that the two big new pieces of information were that Stephen Greer went on a secret mission with Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top to an underground base where he saw limbs regrown, and that an entire engineering firm in a certain state, I can't recall, was murdered because they were pursuing the free energy technology. The fact that you didn't check those two, you know, that's all I'm saying. Like, maybe you need somebody like me, and once you make a project, you bring in somebody at the end. If you had brought in somebody at the end of this thing that would say, you know, this may not be true or something, you know, tell the other side of it. And the other thing is, you've got two people here with very questionable pasts or claims of their pasts in the form of Billy Carson and John D'Souza. Did you know John D'Souza was a lawyer for the FBI? He didn't investigate anything paranormal. He sat at a desk working on warrants and things like that, FISA warrants for the FBI. He didn't investigate paranormal stuff. He puts himself out there as some FBI Fox Mulder guy because he former FBI. He was a lawyer. You know,
And Billy
that's
Carson
all.
didn't make the Felon 5 either. He could have had his name with an asterisk.
Comey.
Well, actually, you have to be very careful because Billy Carson is not technically a convicted felon. He pled
Right,
guilty
with
to a
asterisk.
felony of fraud, and then he got a special deal with the judge that if he completed his
John D'Souza
probation,
won
they
a
would
case
expunge it.
against Comey himself in regards to trying to take his pension away, from what I'm aware of. And he won against Comey, the head of the FBI at the time, under the, what is it? The
Good. We know
Obama
Comey's a
administration.
sleazebag.
That doesn't make him somebody that I should
Good.
trust about UFOs and aliens, though.
Okay, but who?
Why
Okay,
was he
I'm a lawyer.
getting his?
Who should we
why
talk to,
was he
Stephen?
getting his? Why
Yeah,
was he
I don't
getting
know.
his pension taken away?
I do like Jim
Who do you
Goodall,
like?
and I do like Michael Schratt, and I think you
Yep.
should have given them more airtime in the video and less time to Stephen storyteller Greer. You know,
We're working
and look. Here's the thing too. I know that some people just lose their objectivity. You're hanging out with them. You're eating lunch with them. You're his buddy. You don't want to attack him for telling fairy tales, even if you didn't think when he was telling these stories that maybe this is bullshit and we should look into it before you just jammed it in the film. That's all I'm saying. I'm trying to be fair to you. I really am.
Oh, there, it's fair enough, but it's true. And I wish we could investigate every single thing that people bring up, every single UFO
why
video.
Don't you commit to this right now? The next documentary that you make, you let me come and be the skeptic and investigate the claims that people make. Why don't we do that? I'll do that with you. I don't want to work for you in any other capacity, though, because I feel like I'd lose my objectivity.
Let me be the researcher. So
let me and Jeremy be the researchers, bro.
Yeah, we can all chat. Oh no, that'd be a nightmare. Holy shit, we gotta have facts and evidence in the next one. Shit,
you gotta fact check. We're in trouble.
Let me.
No, actually, we just got back with another documentary that we're in the works with.
Okay.
With Dr. Greer, guess who would have guessed that one? But anyway, we spent 15 days with him recently in Arizona in the deserts. Oh, in the desert over there in the Fox Hills or the Fountain Hills, and 15 days out in the desert till 4 o'clock in the morning. The meditation, the CE5, everything that's involved with CE5 embedded within it. And wow, we're about an hour and 10 minutes into this edit, and wow, it was nothing like we've ever done before, and it was like boot camp. It wasn't easy. It was tough. And but
did you see anything?
Look, there's phenomenon. There was phenomenon that was captured, which is pretty interesting, because when we're looking over the footage, we had our Psionics night vision camera, and I'm shooting over Greer's head behind him in the desert as the meditation circles around. There's about 31 people there that night, and over his shoulder, there's phenomenon captured that we reviewed along with others.
Where was this at, man? It wasn't in Florida, I hope.
Pardon me?
No. Wasn't in Florida, was it?
No. It's out in the desert over there in the reservation.
Right years ago was the Navy. But go ahead.
So I'm just saying that we have a new documentary that if you want to like save yourself some money to go to a CE5 event, because it costs money and it takes a lot of time and there's a lot of physical endurance you have to do. There's like 38 degrees
are you
out there.
physically practicing CE5, you and your brother, right now? I mean, you must be, right? It just sounded like you are.
No, we're not. We've already been contacted.
Why not use the protocol though to bring UFOs in? I'm being dead serious here.
We've already had contact, in our opinion, up close and personal with the TR3B and other UFO sightings in Hawaii. It's pretty much common knowledge. So when it happens, it happens. We're not like
I saw you film something in a cove.
You need to document it.
You don't think it's at all. Do you cousin brothers think it's
a TR3B, Brent? Because I consider myself a TR. I'm the one that I knew Edgar Fouché better than anybody. He's the one that disclosed the TR3B to the world.
We're in close in proximity to it in 2010 on our birthday.
You have a video of it, right? Please see it.
You okay there?
I'm a TR3B junkie. Can you give me the link to it, please? Yeah, that didn't sound good, by the way. The TR3B, man, that'd be cool if you could.
What video are
the vertical injectors?
I'd like to see the TR3B video you
like a Pascal triangle.
Because I said I knew Edgar Fouché better than anybody. Me and Jeremy knew him. He was the guy that was the TR3B in the 90s.
Sure.
We knew Ed. I was the last one to speak to Ed when he was the night he died. And I can prove it. I have photos, and we were on video chat, and yeah, man.
You cousin others, don't you think that maybe it's a form of consumer fraud to all but promise people they're going to see flying saucers and aliens if you buy my $10 app?
Man,
refunds when people don't.
That's what's interesting about this documentary, and it's a fair question, Steve. And a lot of these people that came in,
I'm reviewing that app, and I got a lot of questions.
They came in from around the world, and they weren't from Arizona.
Took everything from transcendental meditation. It's a direct one-to-one copy of transcendental meditation.
That's fine.
And he used to study that before he was a UFO guy.
There's an experiment, and
by the way, transcendental meditation is free. You can contact the Transcendental Meditation Society. They'll give you books and all kinds of stuff for free.
I agree. You stop cutting them off.
That's fine. Yep, that makes sense. all I'm saying is that we documented it, and you get a lot of emotions, you get a lot of eyewitness testimony, along with, visual phenomenon captured on sophisticated cameras, along with being what it's like to be embedded within it. And I think you guys will find it interesting. You guys obviously are, not everybody, but Steve and a few people are critics of Greer, but again, which is fine. That's not what we're
on some stuff. I am. I don't want to be a total critic. I think Greer's done some great work over the years.
Well, I think you guys will enjoy
Yeah, I do
this.
too.
Now
I
the
think it's some good- I
Atacama,
think
the
it's some good-
Atacama doll, man, is kind of, that was a hip bone from a 7-year-old girl, from all the DNA they could tell. And the only thing I have to say about that too is this, cousins, brothers, Brent, like, when an animal dies or a human being dies and it's out in the desert, let's say, and you find that bone structure, it's never like all physically together and being held together with like some hardened gel or something. That's what I never understood. That thing is like even the little tiny fingers are all together. None of the bones are spread apart. And why was it in that condition? Do you know what I'm talking about? The little
I understand.
yeah, it's
But
like
there really hasn't been any debunking on it,
part.
as far as I know. From what I hear, it was structurally correct that Atacama.
Yeah, it's really interesting, man.
It looked like
And
a doll.
it was a 7-inch person that could actually walk around. The bone structure was dense enough that it was a 7-inch with the bone structure that would be about, what, 15, 20 years old, something
That's
like that.
I think it was 7 years old, and then they tried to say it was a baby, and I'm like,
Areas and
a
giants.
baby's bone looks so much different than a full-grown human being.
Oh, 100%.
Whatever
That was
it was like a fully developed human, but it was only like 10 inches tall, and it was 7 freaking years old. There's nothing ever in history
It's
that
an
ever looked
anomaly.
like that. And then they
It's an
tried to
anomaly.
say it was a monkey, but it's not shaped like any type of monkey we know from the.
We haven't even found the missing link. So that
was it.
we
Was
haven't-
it a she or a he? Isn't
It was
Isn't
a
it a
she.
coincidence
She?
though that they
Maybe
rushed that
she's the last
documentary
one.
out before
See the black material
DNA?
there, Lord Ludicrous. It's
Yeah.
holding the entire bone structure together. That's what I don't like, because all those bones, like the hands and everything like that, everything is held together with what I would call looks like glue to
Resin.
me.
Yeah,
Has this been debunked, Stephen?
Yeah, it does.
Pardon me?
Has this been debunked?
Yeah, I believe that Gary Nolan did the DNA results. And by the way, your buddy Dr. Stephen Greer rushed that documentary to sales before the DNA results came back, proving that it was an ordinary human with a lot of
that's fine.
genetic
It's a
deformities.
human, but it's an anomaly of a bone structure at 7 inches
A
tall.
lot of genetic deformities.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's still an anomaly. It's like
I
it's
agree
very,
that it's an
very
anomaly,
unusual.
but to suggest that it's an alien and rush the film to sales before the DNA results come back proving it's only human.
Maybe
Is
DNA's
slack thing to do.
I gotta
genetic code.
He could
agree
have
with
waited.
Stephen
He
on
could have
that.
waited for the
Maybe
DNA
maybe-
results to come back, but
Maybe
then there's
human
no
DNA is a
documentation.
genetic
So,
code throughout the universe. We don't know.
Stephen's right. He could have waited, but it would have killed the
It
anticipation.
would have killed the money from the documentary, so he did it on purpose.
It's still cool that there's something that small. I don't think it takes away from that. It's the way that it's being sold is what takes away from it.
We didn't cover this in our documentary. We covered more of the technology possibilities that are within private corporations and not believe that we don't know what it is. That was the whole point of Above Top Secret, is to maybe for people like us in the field, we're more advanced in this subject, but for the novice that jumped in, I'm sure it's going to open up their mind that there is probably there's these black budget projects that are above top secret with technology that's being hidden from the public. And I think that's
hopefully it does.
Well, there is no doubt about that, right? Nobody doubts that. It's just that how do you separate the the bunk, the shit from the shinola, right?
The fantastical from the ordinary.
It's not easy,
right?
It's
not easy. And I think that actually there is one particular, there is a tapestry overlaying interests that want to keep various aspects of all of this stuff secret for their own individual reasons. And it's not I don't think that there's a coherent,
monopolar conspiracy. I think that there are aligning interests and so forth. But one of the things that I think is very real and is being covered up by this proliferation of a whole bunch of bullshit, right? Is the existence of global, like a global electromagnetic weaponry that utilizes the space weather. Basically, can do little tweaks to the electromagnetic environment in the ionosphere to create certain effects. There's a long history of it, of research into it, and it's been there's the telltale sign of cover up, because there's a lot of misinformation that has been ladled upon this topic, but it's very real and it's happening as we speak. The ionosphere is being manipulated for various purposes, and most of them are communications related, but there are also some other very interesting things that
I hate to say it, and I
Sure,
like what
man.
you're saying, but you're sounding like Dr. Greer. And how do we fact check that?
All I know, man,
Well,
is
Steven, can you fact check what this gentleman's saying right here? What was your name
not
again?
a
I missed
physicist
it.
or a scientist.
all I know
I'm here.
is you.
You know,
I would
that's what
call
it sounds
Jeremy and say,
Yeah,
is this
and-
bullshit or not? That's what I would do. I would call
So
Jeremy.
what you can do is I put up a blog like 15 years ago almost, well, not quite that long ago, but it was a long time ago, that summarized some of this information, and it's actually my methodology was to look at sources that were completely disconnected, but that might have some sort of implication into the phenomenon that I was looking into. And the initial thing were these anomalous sonic booms that were happening down in Florida.
And
that
Redondo
were-
Beach.
yeah.
We're in
Yeah, man.
Redondo Beach in the
I hear them all the time.
92, 91. And
Yeah.
on Thursday at 7 in the morning, we heard the booms, and they said it's doing a beeline straight to
So,
Area 51.
You know,
We're there.
so there is at the time the folklore was harp, right? It was like, oh, okay. So on a lark, right? I decided, well, it was like, let's just play devil's advocate, right? Let's just assume that that there is some sort of connection here, with harp, right? So I look at all the magnetometer plots. I look at all the the space weather stuff, and lo and behold, at the same, at least within a certain time frame of these reports of anomalous sonic booms happening, around Tampa, Florida, and there were also these glitches that happened, missing stripes of missing data, not just in one set of data, but in two. So there's the magnetometer plots from the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geophysical Laboratory. They have their own independent thing, and they put out these, they had like a little website where you could download all that shit. And then there's also, at the time, you could look at the geosynchronous electron flux data from all of the Los Alamos National Laboratories satellites that are up there at literally to look for nuclear explosions and missile launches and things like that.
Show?
Well, they show stripes of missing data that happen in close proximity to these anomalous events that were reported. Initially the sonic booms,
Are they like gamma bursts from the sun or something? Like solar flares?
No, it's so. I mean, to cut to the chase, what the conclusion that I've come to is that they are able to create conditions for charged particle precipitation, a lot of basically a discharge from the ionosphere to the Earth, and they can do various effects with that. They can do like one of the things that they even purport to be able to do is this Earth penetrating tomography stuff, where you can map out underground tunnels and things like that from space, using these ultra low frequency waves. But also, I think that there is an almost accidental side effect. I don't know how accidental or how much they're looking at the link, but if there's tectonic stress or built up, there's a huge electrical potential that's associated with that, and given the right stimulus, you might be able to trigger an impending seismic event.
Oh, damn.
The case in point
Greer brought that up
is actually the 2000.
Yeah,
2000.
Bring that up in our latest documentary that we're working on about the seismic activation, and he was talking about the Thailand tsunami that was possibly charged.
Or they use the moon or something.
And he talks about this. What you're talking about, this grid system across where it is actually able to pick up on the mind as well. Again, we're not experts on this stuff, but it seems like you are cooperating and collaborating some of what Greer's saying, and it sounds fantastic, and it sounds above top secret, and it sounds pretty wow and out there.
It's kooky, right? Yeah, it is. It's very fringe. But it's like it was enough to convince me, and I'm a skeptic by nature. When I dug into the data at the time, I was able to find little leaks right on the edges of the redactions. Right, they redact the data for certain time frames, but just before the redactions and just after the redactions, you can see the pattern that's apparent. And that is one of the greatest signals, right? Is like, that's one of the things that always perks my ears up, is when there is an obvious cover up, right?
But the absence of evidence is not always evidence. But I can see how you would, if there's missing data at multiple data collection points that cover a certain event, that is extremely suspicious, and I would dig into that a lot.
Right. Yeah. And so I did, to the extent that I could, and then
somebody spilling a cup of coffee. It would turn it into a 3-day thing.
The most interesting, or one of the very interesting things of this whole experience of looking into it was the rapidity with which the powers that be caught on, and very quietly and kind of sneakily shut down those sources that I had, that I'd already backed up. It's like the data was already out there, so it's not like they were like redacting stuff that had already happened, but I'm
lost on it, so I have no. You don't have to worry about me stealing your idea. I'm lost. I have no idea what's.
I'm not worried about you stealing any ideas.
I'm pretty stoned though.
I'm just relating my experience with this thing. I'll just say anyway, just to cap it all off, and you can look into it further. Is there was a giant earthquake in year 2005, October. In the border region in Kashmir, Pakistan, India. And back then, this is at the time they were looking for bin Laden and stuff. They were trying to do this earth penetrating tomography. And there was a huge devastating earthquake, which was actually leveraged. The first time NATO had ever been used as a peacekeeping force was right then. And they said, hey, we're going to go in. NATO said, hey, we're going to go into Kashmir, and we're just going to provide logistics support for all these victims of this catastrophic earthquake that killed, a lot of people.
Right.
And that may speak to, like a key bono sort of argument about like who actually is pulling the levers on some of this experimental technology that they desperately, it is in my estimation, they are desperately trying to cover up. It's like we're enough on the fringe here. I think, it's like we definitely have an audience, but we're enough on, we're enough on the fringe that we can be fairly easily dismissed by, quote unquote serious people.
Yeah, you guys are
well,
just.
that's what was interesting.
That's
Right?
pretty loud.
What was interesting in the Congress when they brought up the idea of going after people that are against the narrative and coming up with these ideas, what you just said, Eric, it sounds like they're worried about this kind of dialogue and language, and we get in their way because it is fringe. And to be in this line of work, we're always having to deal with fringe, and we're having to disseminate what line we're going to stand on and work. But we're just trying to build up a community. I know everybody here wants the truth, the disclosure. That's what we're looking for. And we're trying to see through all the bullshit. I get it, Steve. And we're just
Look, you and I will. We
can
talk off air because I don't want to be unfair to you, but there's things that I just look at, and then people send me more and more stuff, and I go, Jesus Christ, they did this too. They did this. They did, and then the documentary was a letdown for me. I really want my $13 back.
Well, let's not talk about money. There's bets that are already owed.
I even had to explain that to my wife because I bought it on Amazon, and I never buy videos on Amazon. My wife thought that my kid ordered it by accident. How your kids get the remote and just order shit.
It was 2 hours. You sat down. Are you that cheap?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm poor. No, I'm not cheap. I'm poor. I don't make millions of dollars selling.
Come down to Hawaii. We'll take
videos.
care of your beers. You come to Hawaii, you won't have to buy beer.
You're gonna have to buy me
Hey,
a
there
plane
you
ticket.
go.
I'm poor.
Hey, what do you think of Sheehan,
Hawaii.
cousin?
I'm
I
into
don't know
that.
if are you Brett or Blake or
Daniel
Brett
Sheehan?
Yeah, what do you think of Mr. Sheehan?
Well, it's
having
interesting
a relationship with Lou and with Greer.
Yeah,
I know he's been with Greer for a long time. Do you see any kind of conflict of interest, or
considering both those guys hate each other?
Yeah, they hate each other, but it also seems like Lou lately is also kind of talking the same way that Greer talks about.
All I know is that what I could say is that we did talk to Greer about it. We talked to Sheehan about it indirectly through questions that were asked to Sheehan. And what's interesting is that, he's a lawyer, Daniel, but he doesn't represent Greer in any kind of law capacity. He's just a consultant for constitutional rights and things along those lines.
So they're just like good friends, basically. They're
Yes.
good friends, whatever.
But he is representing Lou Elizondo.
Okay,
because
he
more of a
was involved with the
capacity as a
Pentagon
lawyer.
Papers and all that stuff.
I have a feeling that Lou Elizondo is
done
going to
some
need a really
stuff.
good lawyer like him soon. So that's
Isn't
good
that
that he has him.
ironic though that he goes to Dr. Greer's friend to use them? That is,
I'll
just
say. I
very
mean, he's done
strange.
some good work.
It doesn't make sense.
No,
And
I like
that is-
Daniel. I like him as a lawyer. He's an
His
impressive
lawyer.
track record of forcing the government to disclose things they don't want to. So he's the perfect lawyer for
which
the
is
fringe
badass.
people.
That's great.
And he's a badass. Yeah.
He is a badass, but there are certain things in some of the people that he hangs out with, like you say, Greer hangs out with people that are a little bit questionable. I think there is that character thing, but hey, nobody's perfect. But I did want to say that we called Jeremy right here at Alien Scientists, and we just did it because we really appreciate that Jeremy called us the other day to talk about this Congress and some of the important things that were brought up and some of the lies that they may have been caught up with. So we called, and then we realized we went on YouTube and saw that you guys were live, and I'm glad we stopped in and we're having a healthy discussion here. But there is a meeting we're having with Greer that we're going to be recording a session in regards to what's been happening, the new developments.
Can you ask
And-
him one question for me? Can you
It's
ask
not-
him?
Let's
a
talk
simple
about
question?
the specific point of Congress, and then yes, I could ask the question to Greer.
I've always wanted to ask him one
Yeah, 'cause
specific
it's so much-
question.
it just seems to me, Stephen, there's so much like they want us to fight with each other, and the one thing
No,
that
I
they
get
fear
that.
the
Sure.
most is us all coming together and like teaming up to go after Congress to like get the real narrative out. Because it seems to me that Stephen Greer, I mean, as much as like he's made mistakes in the past, and we could sit there and dwell on all those until the cows come home. He's going after Lou Elizondo and this Pentagon CIA narrative and shutting down the way that this was all set up in the official hearings.
Which is the big picture.
That's the big picture. I don't know.
Right, but he's still got himself.
Maybe he's
I mean,
the insider.
he's-
He's the back end card, because there's also people think that Greer is suspicious too. So, I'd really
You gotta
like.
pick whose bullshit you dislike the least, I guess, and
I'm
those people.
I get
who's
that
option
too.
C? Like who's option C?
Who's option C? It's a great question.
Like if Lou Elizondo is one. and
Oh, there's
Greer's
going to be a
then
new
who's
Lou
C?
real
Like
soon.
who's
going to lose
option
his
C?
position.
They need
There'll be a
somebody in
new
there
Lou.
that's not been involved in this all this time. That's got a reputation for this or that. Yes, Greer's done some great things. Yes, he's got some really bad things stuck to his name too, and that's hard to shake off.
It is, but we just spoke with Greer
so
today.
it's like we need somebody that doesn't have that stigma of doing this or doing that. But it's weird. It's a weird situation, and it's not black and white. So that's the thing, So.
And it's a small circle too, right? That
No, it is.
There's
I
only
agree.
so many
Yeah,
people.
Don't you
No,
believe
I
there's
agree with
one
that,
degree
too.
of separation between all of
agree with
us?
that, too.
And you've heard of that 7 degrees. In this thing, there's 1 degree. If I don't know a person that's in this or into this, I know one or more of his friends. There's only 1 degree of separation between all of us here.
Right.
It is a very unique. It is a very unique subset of people. That's
And
for sure.
everybody looks at something different.
And it
That's
takes
a perfect
dedication,
example.
right? Because there's
Yeah.
so much bullshit to wade through, right? It's like in order to like the fact that we are still here after like the decades of immersion in this sea is a testament to the fact that there is something compelling all of us to stick with it, even though there's there's a lot of
Have you ever watched Lord of the Rings? They group together to fight the big what is he, the Saruman, and
I have no idea.
they get together and they have their differences and their different points of views, and they actually want to battle against each other. But there's a bigger fight that we should be all looking at. And
I'm more of a
think-
Talladega Nights kind of guy. You know what I mean? Shake or bake.
I think you're right. And that,
No,
that
I'm
1
just
degree
saying.
of separation means that there's not much separating
just
us.
messing
Like
with you.
honestly, I never thought that I would talk to the Cousins brothers. I used to just curse at my computer screen.
right.
And because I got to know Rich, now I can curse at them directly, which is it's a little bizarre to me, right? Like
You asshole.
2 years.
I never thought I would get to talk to any of you.
Yeah.
People want
Jeremy
me
and
to
Steven
swear.
helped pulled me out of the Bob Lazar thing along with Solar Marshall. Solar Marshall also, so I will always have bias towards those 3 fellows.
We see you,
but-
Lord, talking, and you're talking some things that I don't know. You're spreading things that are not true on certain things. We don't need to get into it, but I hate
What?
it. It is.
Sir,
I just we don't want
you
to
can address it.
We don't want to get into a thing that goes down things like obviously we want to know the truth, and there's a lot of assumptions out there, especially with this Felon 5 thing. Specifically, our names were mentioned.
Yeah, me too. That's another thing we have in common. I'm on that list, but I didn't say I was a felon.
Your name wasn't mentioned specifically.
It was
Only
Lou Jimenez reply
by Jimenez.
When I saw it, it was
that was just by
Felon 5,
Jimenez.
and
Who
then it
cares?
had
That's
a
not
comma.
Elizondo. He's the one that started the language.
I read
Jimenez
it
was
the
just
same
going
way.
along with it. So it's
When
a
I
little
was sent,
different.
it said Felon 5, and then there were names, and then it was
there were
this
no
person
names.
isn't
The only
even a
names
real
that were
name.
dropped was by Jimenez, not by Lou Elizondo.
No, this was earlier. I was sent this.
I think it was intentional to put Rich and me in there, though, so that people wonder if we're
Well,
criminals or
Lou wanted
whatever.
to put
This had to
it
do with the
intentionally, and
Manny
the question is
situation.
who leaked it. The question is who leaked it. Do we believe that there's a red butt? If we want to do an investigation, Dick Butts, if you could help us out, Steve, because if you're implicated on this,
I know who did it.
Who's Dick Butts?
I don't know who Dick Butt is.
Lou Elizondo gave
but I know who did
text
the Felon
message
5
to
I mean,
a
he's
brand
bragged
new
about it. You can look.
faceless sock account. I believe it's a sock account named Richard Butt. If I was a betting
So
person,
who's Richard Butt?
if I was
Is
a
it
betting
Lou
person,
or
I
is
would
it
say
Lou?
it's Lou. That's what I would say, because
Well,
nobody.
that's what we got to prove, because that's something. Because that is.
Yeah, well, unless you mentioned this, you mentioned if things get to a legal situation, in order to prove who Richard Butt is, or that it's a sock puppet directly related to Lou Elizondo, you would need subpoena power, and you would have to subpoena all his ISP records and all his emails and all that stuff to try to prove that that was him. But given that he's a counterintelligence officer, I'm pretty sure that he knows to hide his, to hide his IP.
Someone shared messages I saw on Twitter. It was of Richard Butt talking about that he can run names. He can run them without a social security number. He works at the DOD or somewhere. Like he's one of Lou's friends. I'll have to find it. I'll have to dig through Twitter. But I remember seeing it because somebody posted it. It was like, are people okay with this?
One thing that we should make sure that is perfectly clear is that the biggest supporters and defenders of Lou Elizondo on Twitter are all nameless, faceless, almost brand new Twitter accounts. That's very suspicious.
Yeah, and I don't want to say
and to be honest,
I've been there before.
In the Cousins Brothers' defense, if I talk shit on Lou Elizondo, it's all nameless, faceless, brand new Twitter accounts attack me. If I talk shit on Stephen Greer, real people come to his defense. That one I'll give you. I'll give you that.
But you know what's interesting too?
In Brent,
quickly,
I don't know. Is it Brent?
Go ahead.
I'm talking to Brent. Is it Brent?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, Brent. Yeah. Well, either one of you. I was told something different.
Confusing because there's two of them, and they look exactly
alike.
alike.
I can talk to you off air also, because I was told a couple of things also, and something about Greer as well. So, that's not something I want to talk about over the air or whatever, but I can talk to you about that.
That's exactly right. And these leaked documents about the Felon 5, that's just people talking.
And it was other people, right?
To friends. But the question is, and the reason, it's just weird because if you're Lou or Lou, in this field, you got to trust people. And I trust Steven more than the two Lou's. That I know I could talk to you, Steven, and say, hey, look, there's something. Let's keep this message between us. But somehow between these two people, it got out. And that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's just like, we got to be really careful who we do talk to and not spread disinformation in regards to, people's characters and their backgrounds.
Right. No, I agree. It's ridiculous.
And I mean, I cautioned everybody too.
Off the record.
I cautioned everybody too. You got to be real careful, because there's 350 or 1,000 background check companies on the internet. For $40, you can get a full report on somebody, but they're very, very inaccurate. They conflate different people with the same name or similar names. You have to be very, very careful if you're going. I learned my lesson. You have to be very, very careful. You have to talk to the courts, verify what is being said, and honestly, I only think that somebody's criminal conviction matters if they were convicted of some kind of fraud related offense and now they're selling fake information. That's the only time I think somebody's criminal background is really relevant. If they did their time, whatever.
In fact, it could be an asset, because you have all these goody two shoes like Christina Gomez, who's has this bright-eyed cheery view of the entire world, and I
thought you were a big fan of hers.
No, well, I am, but I'm just pointing out. I mean, I'm not a big fan. I'm just like she's someone out there that has this naive view of everything, whereas as you pick someone that's kind of been around the prison block a little bit, kind of understands that there's a ton of criminals in ufology promoting bullshit.
There really is, and that needs to be accepted. And I have kind of a problem with other show hosts that don't Jeremy, I know that you're a straight shooter, and Solar Marshall and a few others, and Rich tries to be, but there are some people that they have blinders on, and they refuse to acknowledge or accept the total amount of criminals and criminality in this thing. You can't solve a problem if you won't even recognize it. And that's sad to me, because you can look around and you can see that there are people using child molesters and murderers as sources for their alien stories. But we're just, some people just don't acknowledge that happens, or that this is a problem in the so-called community. There's criminals everywhere selling garbage.
And it's not even about even the criminal records and the felon accusation. Brendan and I, no felons here. We've made
mistakes. Good. Me too.
Yeah. But again, it was that Lou called out only 4 people specifically. And I don't know about Green Street, Greenwald, but whatever. Again, these guys were just talking.
Yeah, actually, here's how people interpreted it, though. Because here is the text of the message. It says, "Thank you, Hermano, truly. Honestly, I am tired of all the BS with the Felon 5. And then here's the people that were listed. Green Street 1, Greer 2, Greenwald 3, third phase, there's 2 of you. That's 5. But some people didn't take it that way. And because Rich and I were mentioned, they thought we might be felons too, or whatever. But the point is,
no felon. We don't have felons.
Okay, good. Right. But here's the thing. So now we have confirmation from. Can you get to Greer and ask if he's a felon? And we've had Greenwald say, "I have no criminal convictions. I'll pay for a background check for you." And we have you 2. That's 3 of the 5 people that he is calling. Most people believe he is calling felons in this list that are not felons.
Well, he didn't mean to get it out in the public.
Greer and Green Street, and then completely debunk this thing.
Dark Journalist was on that list or something, I don't know. It's just weird.
I don't know if he's lumping third phase as both of us, and that's a good assumption there that the brothers, and I get it, and they should think, assume that.
Yeah, maybe you guys got arrested together,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And then what's interesting is that they bring up that he's a medical. He's got a medical license, I guess. So we're diagnosed as mentally unstable as well. And I like what we talked about this. And Jeremy's like, I'm becoming mentally unstable because of what's going on in the Congress. But it is. That's
no, but don't you think it's important? We've got Greenwald and you 2 saying I'm not a convicted felon. I have no criminal convictions. If we could get Green Street,
never said we didn't have any criminal convictions. We're not felons.
You're not felons. All right, yeah, that's fair. No, because felony is a serious crime.
That's a bit different ball game.
Yeah, everybody's got some little shit they might have gotten in trouble for that's not very important.
Harmless.
It's the felons that's really detrimental to people's reputation. So, but my point is, we've got Greenwald and you 2 confirming you're not convicted felons. If we could get Greer and Green Street to give an on-the-record statement saying whether they're felons or not, I think it would really damage Lou's credibility more, and his credibility should be damaged for making these baseless accusations about all of these people to try to discredit them. That's what this is. He's trying to discredit you.
Whether it's all 5 or not, we've already got 3 people denying it. Only need.
That's you know what? You're right. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to talk about it on my show. But I will try to send an email to Greer and Green Street to ask them if they would be willing to say if they are convicted felons or not, because it's more damaging if all 5 aren't felons than 3 of 5.
My God, what? I don't understand the language of what's going on there. But again, we haven't been really talking anything about Lou Elizondo. Goof on. We're kind of neutral on it. All we're doing is trying to have a discussion and get Greer and Lou to talk. Greer's agreed to.
You were more diplomatic than me. I'll give you that. You definitely were more diplomatic than me about
100%. And I don't know why we're being attacked. All we're doing is stating what he said. And again, we didn't say it. He said it. He's calling either us or Greer a terrorist. He says, I don't negotiate with terrorists, when he is asked if he's going to go on third phase moon to have this discussion. Are we the terrorists or Greer the terrorist, when he says, I don't negotiate with terrorists, or to the likes of Jim Jones and Heaven's Gate? But again, all we're doing is getting a reaction from Greer in response to some of that. And they're saying we're attacking Lou. No, we're not. All we're doing is getting a response. And I thought that was pretty good investigative journalism in Above Top Secret, that those statements, boom, boom, and then we get the opinions. Come on, Steve, that was pretty good, right? You have to know.
I'm not a fan of that one. You know, what was the other one called that you did? The other one that was almost like just a YouTube release or whatever.
Well, the Cosmic Hoax.
Yeah, I like that one better. So, you know, if I had to choose between the two of them, I think that one was better. But you know what? Here's the thing: is like I give you guys a lot of props for all the great production, great sound, great camera work, drone footage that was beautiful. But like I'm not there for that. I'm there for the information. So if the information in it is, in my opinion, shitty, then I'm like, it's like I said, you can put, you can wrap, like you can get the most beautiful gold leaf wrapping paper and wrap a pile of shit in it, but it's still shit inside. That's all I'm saying. Great production, though. I wish I could do some of the shit.
I think you're a little bit more sophisticated than most in this field. And again, we didn't make it for you, Steve. We made it for a bigger picture.
For beginners, yeah. For beginners, maybe.
Bigger picture, yeah. Right. I mean, that's what NSA is going to do, right? It's like there's a concept. The media arm is going to like put out a particular sort of look and feel.
We can say that it's still like the top documentary being recommended on Amazon Prime, right on the front page, and being recommended right there against Spider-Man.
That's awesome.
Moonfall. And all I gotta say is we're just little independent filmmakers in Hawaii. Two brothers.
Good for you. It gives me some hope that I could do something similar.
There you go. And that it does give hope that two guys independent could keep up with Hollywood right there on the front page of Amazon Prime. And we're not paying any space for it. They just know it's a hit, and it's doing pretty amazing. But the thing is, isn't it great that independent filmmakers can do this? And there's no funding behind it. There's no secret agenda.
Listen, both of you guys do something similar to what I did. Coming up in the music business, I used digital technology. I was making music on computers before anybody even knew that you could. And it was like the equalizer for me. And you guys do something similar. You got to have that equalizer. So you guys have all the top-notch software that the same people in Hollywood are using. You've learned to use camera drones to get amazing footage. The same thing that they do. You've equalized the playing
field. These guys have
by
millions
using
of
tech.
dollars to do their productions.
You're right.
We're shoestring. And
yeah, but you're still. My point is, you're using technology to try to level the playing field. And that's admirable.
The skills that we've learned since we're 12 years old, making movies since we're young. Yeah. And I
can see you two running around with one of those cassette cameras. What were those called?
Remember we worked with Super 8s, then VHS, then DVDs, then Betamax.
All right, check this out, guys. This is completely unrelated, but I just got some news last week that the unauthorized sequel to the 19 psychological thriller Dead Kids, it was a like kind of B+ horror movie.
I remember that.
Yeah, so I made it. A friend of mine and I, being from Galesburg, which is where this movie is set, it was incumbent upon us to make a sequel, right? And so we took a home movie camera and did it. Check it out. The Australian Blu-ray edition, the producers got in touch with us, and
who's the distribution company on that?
I don't know. They're from Australia.
Wild-eyed?
They're from Australia, and they're including a remastered version of our sequel on the official Australian DVD or Blu-ray. I mean, which it's kind of attained a sort of like
cult status.
Cult movie.
horror film nerds are into
It's
this
like Killer
movie.
Clowns from Outer Space. It's a horrible movie, but it's so much fun to watch it, and it's a cult classic. I just watched it with my kid, and now he's running around like Killer Clowns,
Right? Yeah. So the
It's fun movie.
Awesome. It is a good
horrible movie was actually even more horrible than the original movie, and that makes it all the more wonderful. So just a little tangent on that.
No, that's cool, Eric, because it brings up what we're dealing with, because a movie that we produced when we were 18 years old called Slaughter Day, and it won a national award back in the 80s. And finally it's being remastered and being brought to the table. And it's, it's a homage to Evil Dead, but it's going to be amazing. They're making action figures off our characters. They've done the poster art. And it's coming out. It's exciting because if we could have made any kind of monetization back in those days off our horror movies that we did with VHS, we would have been so amazed. But now we're finally going to make
these guys are making the loot. I'm gonna have to shut the hell up and just ask them for a job soon. I'm gonna be like,
all right, yeah.
This is
we learned the lessons the hard way.
Old projects are going to be seen by the world. It's amazing, and the archive of these horror movies that. Because there's only so many that existed on the planet, right, Eric? Like, not everybody is making movies on VHS 80s and trying to make.
I was trying to make music videos on VHS.
Right. Yeah, one of the best horror movies I've seen was 1408, as far as like the most modern for me that was actually good.
We're going to be dropping the trailer for Slaughter Day and all that good gore.
No, that's good for you guys, especially
stuff.
If you can monetize an old project that's been sitting on a shelf and make some new money from it. Good for you
like
guys.
29 years, it's been on the table. Like,
I mean, I would love to monetize it.
Dude, I would filter that up, remaster it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's already off to the presses. It's a done deal. So I'm actually excited to see it because the way that our editing process was like, before desktop video editing was a real thing. I had a computer that could actually
I had a Mega toaster
at the time. Digital. Yeah, it was like I had a 2 gigabyte hard drive, which was enormous, right, in 1996. But that only held about 20 minutes of like full frame, full motion, 640 by 480 and released video.
It's all about
so I couldn't so we couldn't use that. So we ended up using just VHS to VHS dubbing as our editing system, and it worked. We made a movie, but it was like 4th or 5th generation by the time it hit the final.
We bought the flywheel. We bought the flywheel, and we're really.
But this new one is going to be straight from the original 8mm videotape, which is going to be sharp as hell. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. We won the John Carpenter Award with this movie that's coming out this year as well, Slaughter Day. And again, it was just a little, it was a magazine contest in New York called Video Review Magazine back in the day. And we just entered the short film and we got a call saying, hey, you guys won the John Carpenter Award. We're like, what? What's going on here? And they're like, go. And that was kind of, but again, awards don't mean much, but it's really amazing that it is coming back finally. There's a niche again for that old genre shot on video.
Speaking of that, I was going to ask, what are your thoughts about the lovely video that was shown during the hearings?
We covered it
where they tried to pause it and.
You mean the garbage they gave us? Look, a balloon.
Yeah,
and then there was like the triangle lens flare or whatever on
that's
the
been
night
proven
camera.
That's both and it's garbage.
Well, I knew that. Yeah, no,
it took them 5 minutes to finally. They couldn't even. If they used a little bit of third phase of moon's techniques that we've done for 10 years to enhance and videos and
rewind and
we do on a daily basis, we could have they could have consulted with us and it would have made that such much more impactful to the public instead of this embarrassing moment. And in my opinion, that was a debacle purposely done. That was purposely done.
They could have consulted with my 8-year-old niece and she could have done a better job at playing that video.
No, good movie.
You never underestimate the incompetence of government workers.
Based on a true story.
Yeah, I mean, is it incompetence though, or is that just intentional?
That's true.
Like, I don't know if they're actually being incompetent and they're like, okay, we have to give them something, so we're just going to give them like the
A shitty
like,
cell phone video
shitty
though,
shit,
from like an
the
iPhone
shitty
8?
stuff,
Jeremy's
right?
eating ice cream again from his dildo
Yeah.
king.
Like an iPhone 8 though, like they couldn't have shown something better.
Blake and Brent, what are you guys using for your editing? Is Final Cut, or what are you
We've been working. We got trained on Avid like when it first came out with the Water World, and we got invited to the University of Nations to get trained, and
So
we
you're
weren't
using
even
Avid,
religious.
really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Avid.
And
Wow, old school.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
use
like
something called Magic's Video Editor. It's from a company in Germany, but I've been using it literally since like 2004.
no,
And
man, drop it. It's got to go
yeah.
Adobe Premiere, the cloud. That's all you need. It's the
I
best.
hate paying for rent for software.
Come on,
Yeah,
you
no,
cheap bastard.
I
You're
use
such a
Shotcut
big
and
Learn
KDN
the
Live
binary
on Linux.
name.
It's free. It works
That's-
a little
I know
buggy here
Linux,
and there, but you can
KDN
do it.
Live
You
is
should learn
KDN Live is
ASCII and
shitty
binary.
compared to a
What you
real
guys could do is
editor.
like Jeremy could get it, Steven could get it, and then you guys could just like share the cost. And
Yeah,
what
and
we'd give you is
Shotcut
like a,
for putting stuff
Yeah, and
together.
then
It's easy.
and then the
we'll give you the
NSA
crash
and the
course
CIA
on how to
and
get started
the
on that
Israelis all
directly.
with
I
it.
get that, but paying rent for software every month is against my religion. I just
No,
can't
but
do it.
seriously, it is the magic tool, and it's not that much. And you know, between
No,
two
I do.
people,
Listen, I have been told by 8,000 people, no, you gotta get the cloud. You gotta get
and
the
let me tell
cloud.
you, you can
But
talk
I
to
don't
us.
like
And you can
another
call us
bill.
anytime. You can call us
Steven,
anytime.
I know
guys,
you are
and we can
you
train
know,
you on
like
how to get
very
it so
comfortable
fast.
in a
You'll get
terminal
good.
environment, just making like
And I'm a big Linux guy, but there's no good
just do a
Linux
script.
video.
Make a little like M player script. You can do all kinds
No,
of
this
crazy
magic
It is actually
thing.
getting
Look,
cheaper, Steve,
Jeremy,
because you can do it under
did you
education
show? You can
purposes.
show the video that I just did about Lou Elizondo from my channel. I just did that, and that's got camera movement templates, all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I just think
No,
what
but
I'm
you're not going to
using
be able
is
to
good
hang with
enough.
the big files with it when you get complicated, like what we're doing. When you have
Yeah,
a
you're right.
template.
I have a problem with big files.
Then you're
Once in a
sharing
while,
it,
with
though.
huge files, it starts to get it renders the whole
And
thing
then
down to
your
one
creative
second
process
left,
gets wacky.
and then it gets whacked.
Yeah,
and
it's
You
not
don't
looks
fun
care.
efficient.
either. Yeah, it's
You don't
hard.
care, cousins,
That's
about
frustrating.
the alphabet letter boys checking your footage out before you send it. Doing that cloud stuff, man. Them Israelis have got the top notch spyware.
You never know, but
yeah.
I would like to learn that.
You just have to assume, like what is
I mean,
your
they do have the top notch.
what's your threat profile?
Yeah, I don't
Mine
know.
is
I would like to learn
Pornhub
that.
I don't want my Pornhub exposed. That would be my threat profile.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, you know what's funny
just
is all
I mean,
these assholes.
use Tor for your porn, and you'll be all right.
All these asshole senators once passed a law that companies could sell our browsing history, and when that happened, I thought, why don't we look at yours first? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
No, but Brennan,
data capture.
Brennan Blake, I do want to learn to use that and
they just
and
passed
get
the
more
law.
professional with my editing. You can look at my latest video; it's
Not
second from the last on my
the law.
channel. I just did that today.
I wonder if there's like a Pentagon official in charge of watching my browsing history. They must be like, what the fuck?
You're almost on this, Jeremy. You're hitting it.
Stuff, didn't you?
We're giving them an education, guys. So I mean, at the very least, it's like they have to research a whole bunch of really
and they're
interesting
addressing
stuff.
what we did on Above Top Secret in the Congress as well. Obviously, who are these groups? They debunked the Corbell video, the major media showing the CGI. What are the ramifications of that? That's what brought it up.
Yeah, I think that those statements that
we
they
then
made
do
were-
control the narrative. It's
Those-
like, what the hell are we talking about here? Is all this infighting about like like so and so?
Those statements were intentionally vague, though.
It's
I
like,
feel like that there's like beef between Lou and like Bass or something.
yeah, it's like, is that really what we need to be talking about? Is that the agenda that we would need to be setting for these guys? It's like, or they're going to tune out. It's like maybe we can inspire them to
they didn't.
Right? It's like those people who are assigned to like listen to us. They're like they're the people who might actually have access to something that would be kind of interesting, right? So it's like reaching out to them. It's like talking to you guys directly. What are you going to
Well, I
do?
would say the
How
first
are
thing
you
the
going to do
system
it? How are you
does
going to
is
manage your
Siri or
OPSEC?
Alexa.
How are you going to get that information out of there? How are you going to exfiltrate that stuff without implicating yourself? Good luck to you, and I hope you do it. Right? So there you go.
Yeah, I
there
don't
you
do
go.
any of that. But
Jeremy, I got to get out of here because it's almost 1:30 a.m. where I am. So I got to pack up for the cabin and get some rest. Tomorrow's long day for me. I got to go to Lowe's and get like 2 loads of all kinds of shit for the cabin. I got to get materials, and it's one of those tough materials runs. You know this, Jeremy. I got to go get like 8 bags of 80-pound mortar mix. S-mortar mix, and a bunch of wood and some other stuff. So that's like,
probably get it cheaper than Lowe's. I mean, they might be a little more expensive there if you can get it from like a landscape supply house or
there's a supply place near the cabin, but they're slightly more expensive. So I just go to the Lowe's, load up, and pound up there.
Google search in your area to find
cheap,
cheap woodman supplies and stuff. If there might be an independent store around you that might have lower prices.
No, yeah, I do. I that whole cabin, I built it from recycled everything. The windows are picked from the trash, and everything else is trees and trash and cement.
Nice. It's innovation.
You should make a horror movie in there, Steven. That's like Evil Dead. That's Evil Dead.
Yeah, you guys can come and film up. If you guys want to come there and film, I'll pick you up at Philadelphia International Airport, drive you right there.
I think we need to build an observatory.
It's cold.
Is it dark? Hey, Steven, is it dark there? Is in the sky?
Dude, you guys gotta come to the Hockomock Swamp. We have the horror stories, weird New England, like all kinds of crazy stuff. The first UFO sighting in America was actually in the Hockomock Swamp.
So we need to build a UFO observatory on Stevens, on
my land.
Stevens was.
It's at the highest elevation in Pennsylvania, and you can see the International Space Station and some satellites with the naked eye.
Yeah, so we need multiple instruments. We need optical. We need to basically cover the whole spectrum, from radio all the way to infrared well, I mean,
you don't need anything, man. If you can go out.
Yeah, you can. Ultraviolet and gamma and X-ray doesn't really work on the surface. You need balloons or get up above the atmosphere to do that. But radio up to optical.
Out of here.
Have the whole sky camera. That'd be cool.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy. I appreciate it, and keep pounding away. I know Jeremy's been pounding away, and he's going to continue to, and all of us should, keep trying to solve the mystery. That's why we're all here.
I've been cracking the textbooks, so
take it easy, brother.
Okay.
Hey, appreciate it, and thanks for your review on Above Top Secret, and everybody's got.
You're thanking me for a negative review. That makes me like you a little better.
Thanks, man. Hey, any review, it's all good. Hey, cool.
Have a good night.
Hey, hit us up if you got any Adobe Premiere questions. We can help out.
I will.
Team viewer and
I will. I'm good. Actually, I should ask you to sponsor me for a year. That's what I should do. You guys are rich. You're making all this
Premiere and After Effects. It's easy.
Yeah, be my tutor. All right. Good night, guys.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. And God, you're gonna love the verbal abuse sometimes.
We should talk about some science, though.
I give certain kids a hard time, but I
wish I could stay up all night and
watch all your videos.
I'm ready to go to bed. I'm falling asleep.
Hey, Jeremy, real quick, the reason why we called before you get to bed, like we are having this thing with Greer on Saturday. And this is with Schrad and Goodall. But we did want to bring up some of those talking points that you were bringing, and I'll specifically mention that it came from alien scientists, from Jeremy, on like the strategic points that you're making on the Congress hearings. And I want to bring some of that stuff to the table. So if you could give me a call so you could so we could collaborate on how we could get that those PowerPoints that we were talking about the other day. That's what we initially
I'll give you my PowerPoint. I really should add more notes to it and really get like a better explanation of everything that's going on there, and some links and stuff in there, because I could definitely pad it out.
What we want is like you give us the position point, like here at point in 2 minutes 30 seconds, blah blah blah, somebody mentions this and this and this, and give me those PowerPoints exactly where it's at, and then the question behind it. And that would be immense. And then again, I will say this is coming from
just drill them on every sentence they say.
Or Jeremy, alien scientist, my bad. And yeah.
Could you imagine like bringing it back to like the last hearing we had on this was 50 years ago at Project Blue Book and blah 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 blah, and this was actually a cover up because we found this document, a secret memo about that there was a whole nother Project Blue Book run by Howard C. Cross. Yeah, I mean this is like where the goods are at, man. These guys currently manage all of our national laboratories. I mean, you want to talk about science? This company like has control over all the science, and they've been brainwashing the scientific community against looking into UFOs and taking this subject seriously. And they've been doing it, for 50 years now. And
yeah, and that just makes me wonder what their motivation for the secrecy is, because they
don't want us to advance too fast because we're already advancing too fast technologically, and the CIA can't keep up.
Is it like a breakaway type civilization? Like they just keep the secrets of the energy and all that stuff until they feel like it's time for it to come out.
I mean, unlimited energy is dangerous.
Right, of course. I mean,
well, it's really about energy.
It's like these things are not bending space-time with zero energy. I know exactly how much energy it takes to bend space-time, and
the infrastructure is not ready for it too, and quantum computing is going to help out, but we're just not quite there to roll it out.
Yeah, I mean, fossil fuels and all that stuff. I mean, we'd be able to replace it and all that.
I really think we should look back into analog computing. That's actually better than static computers or digital. It's less approximate, but it can be exact if done right. Usually,
especially if there's a solar flare that messes up all the.
I'm like,
no kidding.
If you really look back in like the 1700s, they had supposedly craft back then that they spotted, and there might have been advanced, like they had some really advanced mechanical computers that they had, like the I can't pronounce it right, but it's a device that they use to navigate the astrologics of the sky and stars and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was like that.
Yeah.
Oh, the ancient computer. Yes, right. The Atacama machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
and it calculated.
The Enigma machine in 1947, whichever year it was by Turing. Yeah, that thing. I mean,
the advent of information theory, right? And its connection
Claude
to
Shannon
thermodynamics.
And, the John Nyquist theorem,
Yes. So it's I mean, where information theory intersects thermodynamics, that really is sort of the essence of sort of an analog mathematical model of the universe.
Well, the thing about analog is that it kind of acts like on cycles per second.
Hey guys,
and it requires.
Cheers, Jeremy. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but we're gonna have to get going.
Yep.
But appreciate it. Eric, Solar. I can't read. My eyes are terrible. We got Lord Ludicrous. Glad we've seen you around for a long time.
Yeah, it's always good to talk to you, man. I do respect your work. I know I'm hard on you guys, but I do respect your work. I do think you guys
try our best.
I do think you guys. I don't think you put it out, fake stuff just to put it out. I think that you get it and you put it out.
And we're not saying it's always ET by any means. We're asking questions, and we're not UFO experts.
I think you get it instead of sitting on it for 2 or 3 days trying to decide. You just put it out and say, "We'll let you decide." That's how I look at it.
That's it. That's all we can do. Appreciate that, Lord. Yeah, that's right. That's our goal, and we deal with the public, and it's not always easy dealing with the public, and whatever. There's a lot of assumptions, but our goal is.
Yeah, and everybody can speculate. I mean, there's nothing wrong with speculating, but that's my opinion. Of course, everybody has their own opinion. That's mine. So.
We don't sit on videos.
I think you guys approach it
to us.
with
We
a good
get
faith.
it to the world. We don't sit on them.
I think you approach it with good faith. That you're not trying to deceive anybody or anything like that. So
appreciate that, Lord, and Jeremy. Appreciate this impromptu thing. That was fun, and it's great. I thought is kind of cool. You're walking into a nightclub and then you got to fight your way in to get a beer, but that was kind of a good time. And
I had fun.
yeah, right on, Eric. Jeremy, you're muted, but you guys have a good night. And Jeremy, let's catch up tomorrow because we want to talk about some of the major PowerPoints that you're bringing up in our conversation earlier. So we'll see you guys real soon.
Thank you so much for joining us, and it's props to you guys for coming on and going through that gauntlet, because you got more sack than Lou.
There you go. Wow,
that's true.
Oh geez, I would love to see Lou come on and put up to that. He'd lose his head. He'd like, you guys stayed really calm throughout that swearing and that was
the Cousins brothers always show up. People are talking shit and they'll show up and they'll hop on the live. Hey guys, what's happening? So that's mad respect for that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys do it all the time, and
Dan will back up. Good night, Dan, and good night, guys. I'm going to end the stream. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'm out too.
You guys have a good night. That
Dan,
was great.
I'll holler at you, brother.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Send us some of that information, Lord. We'll talk to you. Bye.
All right. See y'all.
All right. Later, everyone.